Okay, calling the meeting to order. Kevin,
So,
you're gonna give the general manager's report?
Yes.
so we have two of us here,
Two.
Sophia. And me.
Let me just take a roll call real quick.
You're invested.
Sandra left for some reason.
Exactly, and I mean, you're gonna be using. all
So
this
maybe we should tell our audience that our meeting started.
Pardon me? We've called the
We
meeting to
started the meeting
order.
a minute ago. They interrupted.
He said she'll be right.
I see.
Okay.
All right.
Last meeting's questions. As part of the water chemistry issue we've been having as a result of the pH not matching up very well. Anyway, on to the financial report. I believe last meeting, Sophie, you asked about the meeting fee dollar amount and why it wasn't an even amount.
Oh, yeah.
We found that that was as a result of the board dinner, which is.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
so that actually goes into the fees for the board of directors.
Exactly,
Okay,
yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah. And there was also some CSDA training that was also put into that particular one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
But there's more, there's a more detailed list later on, so we'll go over that.
all right, cool, thank you.
As for the balance sheet, the assets not matching liability.
Right,
So
I
what-
saw that.
Yeah, that was from last meeting. What that ended up being was that normally we clean up the reports a little bit because they have numbers, the account numbers. It tends to make it look a little bit messy, and we don't dig down all the way deep into each of the accounts. So when we deleted those, all the formulas got messed up, and the ones at the end ended up showing double counting for whatever reason. So normally when we do it, we repaste the Excel spreadsheet as values instead of as formulas to avoid that problem.
Okay, so if I have any other questions about that, I'll let you know.
Yeah, definitely. Just give me a call or email me. That's totally fine, and we'll go over it. You can dig as deep as you want to go. Sandy wanted to know about the shed project. Nothing's really changed since the last time, since the report that I gave 2-3 months ago. So this is where we are. Maybe when she comes back, she'll have questions about that. And there was some questions about the selection process. Last time there was allegations of a rigged process. The answer to that is that it's a ranked choice process, which is used in a lot of different elections. So it's not something that's very strange.
Yeah, I was a little confused about that, because
Yeah.
I asked you about the, if we were supposed to rate them, like,
Can I just interrupt? Maybe just wait 2 minutes, Jeff and Kim. from
Oh,
Parks
sure,
and Rec
sure.
are here,
Oh, wonderful.
Sure.
Because I think they're very interested in the board selection process. They have quite a bit of information. So if you take it from the top, and everybody's on the same page.
Okay, yeah.
Do we have any idea when these people will be writing?
Oh, no, they're right here.
Oh, there, okay.
That's why I wouldn't have interrupted
Oh, I
if
see.
they weren't right there.
Oh, okay.
And actually, the minutes of the meeting where it took place are in the packages you picked up from the table over there.
Okay.
And it explains, it details what happened during the whole meeting. in very good detail.
So to try and catch you up, although it's better if the board does, they had just gotten to the point where they were describing the previous process, the previous meeting on trying to fill the vacancy for the board. And so they were describing it, so you might want to weigh in on.
And again, those are the minutes of the February 28th meeting, which are in your packet, along with the minutes of the other 3 meetings we haven't been able to
Oh, is that why that thing's so huge?
approve.
All right.
God knows what reason.
So I was describing the selection process. There was concerns at the last meeting that the rank choice was a rigged process. The ranked choice vote was designed so that there's the best chance of arriving at a single candidate, right? So for example, maybe everyone chooses the same second place candidate. That's someone they can live with, and then that person would be selected and then potentially appointed. It's also faster if you have more than 3 candidates. That's the process that was recommended by staff. That was also the process that was approved by the board several weeks earlier and had been published for several weeks in advance. During the actual meeting on February 28th, the process was printed on the paper, and immediately before the vote, I read out the exact instructions on what to do. So there wasn't any trickery here. These are the, this is the tally right here. And
Yeah, I guess I had some confusion because I'd asked you like, oh, are we like ranking this bronze, gold, silver, bronze? But
Right.
I guess you don't necessarily have to vote for everyone, so not everyone needed to get a medal.
right,
So that
All
was-
of that was in the instructions.
You
Yeah.
only have to vote for the people you believe are qualified.
my exact words were rank at least 1, but not more than 3.
Right.
And the video that's online shows that as well. So so that's what you're seeing here. The candidate was selected but not appointed because they were voted down, or not. They didn't have sufficient votes to actually be appointed. All right. All right. Here's our spring project plan. It's in all of your packets.
Maybe before you go on.
Yeah.
Maybe we have some questions. So
Sure.
since I didn't make it to the last one, so is the vacancy still there?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
So to be more specific, what happened was that candidate Jane had been selected according to the process, and I believe there was some confusion. So
Yeah, I had
that's
some
okay.
confusion there. I didn't know that, I guess with the wording, I didn't know that you didn't have to vote. When you no more than 3, I thought you had to vote for all 3 of them. Instead of no more than 3 men.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, the result would have been the same in any case. So what ended up happening is we had a candidate selected according to the process. Then that person there would be a move to appoint the candidate. What then happened was board member Sandra Eaton left the meeting, and Sophie voted no. So we don't have
So we didn't follow the process we agreed upon at an earlier meeting. 2 members of the board followed the process, and the other 2 did not.
So how did I not follow the process?
The next step we were having was approving whoever got the most points, and you refused to approve the person who got the most points.
It comes up to a vote.
That's
She
true.
voted no, so it.
I mean, she's allowed to vote no, but the
Right,
process
I'm
we
allowed to.
approved did not have that as a possibility, as I read it, but
They
I'm
told
not a
her
lawyer.
she had to vote for all 3 people, and
No.
she
No.
didn't.
Didn't tell
That's not what
anybody.
no. It's not, you never had
That's
to
not
vote for all 3 people. They use this same ranked choice process in the city of San Francisco to appoint board of supervisors there. And our lawyer who was here at that meeting had been in San Francisco during that appointment process when they chose a new board of supervisors head. I'm sorry.
You said that she did not follow the process by voting no, which is not correct. The process comes to a vote,
Yes.
right? And so by following, and it is said in there that if it still did not get approved by the board, then it would then go to the board of supervisors. So that is still following the process.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have a difference of
Why did we
opinion.
have a selection process? Why did we vote unanimously to approve the process?
We didn't.
Oh, we did.
Because I wasn't here.
You
All 4 of us
were
voted.
We
here.
voted to
Well, you needed 3 board
approve
members
of this.
to vote.
Right.
Which you did. That's fine.
Right.
Right, so you need to come up to a vote. And you said in the process that if the
Yes.
board still did not come to an agreement, that it then go to the board of supervisors, and that's what's happened. So you were following the process.
I think that was in the event of a tie.
That was in the event of a tie.
There wasn't,
If it was
But we
not
didn't have a
deliberation-
tie. We had a clear winner.
so the process goes through an elimination, and then once you go through to the last person, it says you make a motion. But it doesn't say that you have to say yes. So
No, that's true. I mean, you are right about that, but.
Right.
But I figured if you approve the process, you'd follow the process, which seemed to me to imply, and maybe I'm wrong,
Well,
because
it's now
No,
written down
that's
that
two
it must
different
be
things.
unanimous.
It's
it would
two
imply
different
that
things.
if we had a winner in terms of points, we would approve that person, and then we wouldn't have to go to the board of supervisors.
We didn't approve of that person, though.
But we
We
have one
absolutely
person
did
who had
not
7
approve
points.
of that
We had
person
an election.
We had a
We had
winner.
a selection.
That's
What
all I'm
was the
saying.
point of doing that?
And that
because
the
it was
reason for
too
the process.
convoluted in the first place. It should have been people present their letters of intent, and then we voted. But no, it had to be points, it had to be round one,
approved
round
that
two,
process.
round
Approve the
three.
process.
I
We had
didn't
a
read,
You were here.
No.
You didn't read it,
It was,
it was gonna be a simple process.
so you didn't read
I
it.
didn't get it.
You didn't read
well,
it.
you should have
No.
asked questions when we approved the process.
Well,
You have
I
a
used-
college
We
education,
took
is
the
that correct?
vote 2 weeks.
We
3
did
weeks
not
later.
approve of that person,
Okay,
period.
we didn't approve it.
Anyway,
in any case,
it's sold.
it turns out that our bylaws said that it would be the county board of supervisors. As it turns out, is out of date since this area was annexed into Cupertino. According to the government code, that now falls onto the Cupertino City Council.
Right.
So at this point, it's within the city council's hands, and the city council is free to put forward a candidate. It may be one of these ones, it may not be. That's up to the city council to decide. The only qualification that is really hard and fast is just residency within the district.
It has to be a
And a
resident
voter.
and a voter.
And a
Right,
voter.
right, and a
Right,
voter,
yeah,
thank you, yes.
And
So-
these were the only 3 people who were interested, given 3 weeks of canvassing the neighborhood.
So I got a question though. So if we're in the jurisdiction of, we're no longer in the jurisdiction for the Board of Supervisors, we are in the jurisdiction of the city of Cupertino. Does that mean that we still use county council, or do we use somebody else for legal counsel?
No, we use county council. So
Yeah.
county council, we contracted out with them for.
But
legal
that was
services.
because Steve made a motion to choose county council. Now that we're in the jurisdiction of the city of Cupertino, why can't we make a motion to use their legal counsel if we need counsel?
That's always something that you can explore.
I
with
guess-
the,
Yeah,
You
did you
know,
see
we
I made a
can.
motion? Because I never made a motion to choose.
Yeah, you did. You found it, right?
Yeah, it was back in
2012.
2012. There was,
2012?
yeah.
That may have been for a specific thing.
That was for a specific
Yeah, that-
problem we had at the time.
My knowledge of it is that we've been using county council for a very long time.
Yeah,
Well, you need to come
and they're
up
still
with
willing
proof.
to serve as our counsel if we need them, and are willing to pay them, so, I don't know, they're pretty neutral. At last I heard, and I may be out of date, last I heard in the city of Cupertino, I guess they fired the council and have a new one who's probably still coming up to speed, I assume, because it takes a while. So, and in our case, the county council we're using, Nancy Clark, has attended enough meetings and served as their counsel for enough legal questions that she's really up to speed on all the issues. And that's why she was here to count the vote for us on the meeting when we had the election. So, make sure we did everything legally,
There's no election. It's pretty,
Oh, okay.
pretty
the choice.
nothing crazy on here. So pretty routine stuff. Is there any
Still
other
early.
questions? Yeah. Yes.
Can I mention if I could insert myself? Good evening, board.
Would you like to come in? We have a little,
I have to kind of wobble around.
oh, yeah, sorry.
That's fine.
Okay,
Oh, hey,
sorry.
that's 2 of us.
Well, I got the memo. I got the memo.
We gave you the booze.
I forgot.
Okay. Well, anyway, good evening. I'm Jeff Melkus. I'm the Director for Recreation and Community Services, and I oversee the aquatics program as well as recreation and parks assets and such within the city, except for your special district. And so when you as a board were not able to reach a consensus on a candidate, and it did fall back to the city council. I've been active in trying to figure out from a legal and from a perspective, what is that role and when is that going to occur? We're up against a bit of a deadline. I will tell you that April 10th is an important day to ensure that this occurs.
Right.
We have heard from our legal counsel about it. And just to clarify, the city doesn't have a city attorney. We've contracted with a private firm, which means that you'd be welcome to contract with the same firm, but I don't know if there would be a benefit or not associated with us for your efforts. What I would tell you is that we do have a city council meeting, I think on the 2nd, and I've asked the city clerk to reserve some time so that then city council does have an opportunity to take action.
So this is April 2nd, you said there?
I think it's April 2nd.
Okay. It's on a Tuesday,
First
correct?
Tuesday, correct. What we don't know is, where in the agenda, what time. It would be my responsibility to make sure that you through Kevin, I'll know when that's gonna happen and what'll happen. Now, that just means that there's a lot of work to do between now and then to ensure that our council has the information they need to make the best choice, best decision. I will tell you that the rules, as I interpreted them, because I don't have a legal background, was that there was a possibility that either city council or, you as a board could force a special election, which can be extremely expensive.
Yeah, we
Yes.
looked into that.
Yeah.
It was hundreds of
$73 a
thousands.
vote.
It was
or
really expensive, yeah.
$155,000.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty expensive.
Yeah.
We've heard interpretation from legal folks that suggests that maybe that could be mandatory. I don't know, I can't tell you because I don't have that legal background, but I will tell you, I think it's to everybody's benefit to get this resolved on the 2nd of April meeting.
Yes.
So what does that mean? I wish I could tell you more because we just aren't there yet, but we have dedicated a significant amount of time this last week trying to get from A to B to C for you and to ensure that our council, John and his, the other city council members have the ability to make the best choice that they can.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's your intention that on the 2nd, that there will be some sort of action taken then?
I would hope so, yes.
A choice. It sounds like you hope to make a choice at that
Yeah.
meeting because it'll meet the April 10th deadline that's hard and fast that we're up
Exactly.
against. We were up against a March 10th deadline to choose it within the board, and that obviously didn't happen. So that's why it rolled over to eventually your jurisdiction. I only found out on Monday that it became the city's job and not the
Yeah.
county's job.
Yeah,
So-
and
so
I
we're
can tell
all
you,
catching up.
yeah, I can't, I guess I can speak for our interim city manager, Tim Borden, because I know I'm on a number of the emails. I know he's spending significant amount of time trying to figure out a way to help resolve this. So we're here behind you. We're gonna do what we can to help and to assist. And while I have the podium, I might mention, Kevin and I had a conversation as well earlier on. I brought with me Kim Cowan, one of our recreation supervisors. She's arguably one of the better aquatics specialists in the country. And so we're here to offer assistance as well. If down the road, Kevin or the board would like to ask questions about how to run aquatics things, I don't know how much I can help you individually, but I'm certainly Kim can in terms of whatever you may need help. We should be partners in this.
Yeah.
We're here to, so we serve in a sense many of the same.
We partnered with earlier,
Caroline.
in your position in the past, when it made sense for it to both sides. Most of the time, we've been independent.
Well, and you're an independent board, independent
So-
district, so. Okay, well, that's all I have to report. I just wanted to make sure that you had a name to a face. I'm just trying to help facilitate, and we'll see where we go there as we get closer to.
We appreciate a resolution of this too.
Yeah.
Will you be able to give us more information about specifically like time frame within that meeting or anything like that?
It's still being agendized. it
It's
sounds
still
like.
being agendized. I know there was a visit with our wonderful city clerk late in the afternoon. I know that there's discussions. I don't know when it would be. I would hope.
Okay, so you
Yeah, I would hope it would
couldn't get
be-
any advance notice on that, so it doesn't
Well,
sound like it.
I'll tell you what I'll
Yeah.
know.
Okay, yeah,
And so.
for sure. Thank you.
Again, I'll communicate if it's okay through Kevin.
Thank you.
Thank you. I mean, we appreciate it. It's like having any large test dumped on you on short notice. You're catching up, you know.
We're gonna make it, one way or another.
We'll make it.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Okay.
Especially in your mood.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
this is, you know, I should, the 49ers want me to get back to kicking field goals, so.
Kim, I didn't get your last name.
Callum, Calame.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else on this before we move on?
One should be information about the prospective candidates. So I'm just wondering that they know to get whatever information from the candidates. Usually a candidate can write a candidate statement, why they would like to be on the board, what skills or experience do they have that they would be bringing, things of that nature that would help understand, because otherwise they're just names.
Right, so
No,
I was
they-
actually on a committee with Renee Henderson to actually
She's one
get
of
that
those up there?
information. No, she's actually a community member, she's not a board member. And we actually came up with some information about, candidate statement, what are your 3 priorities, stuff like that, so.
There is statements.
Yeah.
We already have their statements.
They're in the packets. They're in your packets, actually.
I just didn't want to leave them in there.
Because we still have copies of last meeting's packets that include all 3 candidate statements.
Okay.
And so I
Within
saw a few
those.
copies that were in
I've
there.
already forwarded all the information.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
you've already
All of
forwarded
it's
all
been
that.
passed.
Yeah, what I don't know, I finished the sentence here, I guess. What we don't know yet is whether there'll be additional outreach or not.
Okay.
You know, and
Okay.
I just have to plead, I don't know
Okay.
at this point, because I don't.
Is it still open if other candidates wanted to apply, or the 3 are?
They're probably still trying to figure that out.
Yeah, I would assume that would be all the city council.
Yeah, it's the city council's choice. They don't have to go with these candidates.
Well, you definitely need somebody who wants to be on the board.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so,
But that doesn't bar people from also joining necessarily, unless the city council says only these
but
candidates.
if any other residents from Rancho, well, let me back up. So is my understanding right that it's only Rancho residents?
Correct.
Okay.
Rancho residents who are registered voters.
Actually, if it had gone to, having had this happen a couple times while I've been on the board, if it had gone to the county supervisors, they're free to choose whoever they want, irrespective of their qualifications. And that's what they do for special districts throughout the county. So they would have the freedom to choose somebody who didn't qualify as a voter or a resident if the supervisors thought that was a better choice. I think we as a board may or may not be able to agree. I know I can agree that we had 3 people that were interested in serving and are still interested in serving. And I think you probably have to ask your legal firm as to whether anybody else can join and become a 4th and a 5th candidate at this late date. Because we had to legally advertise for 3 weeks.
Yeah, 15 days.
And between now and April 2nd, you're not gonna have 3 weeks.
Right.
So I don't know the answer because I'm not a lawyer. So they should consult their lawyer, and I point their lawyer at Nancy Clark, who's probably done some background work on it and has some idea. If they consult, that might be a good idea to figure out whether you can legally accept any more candidates. 'Cause I have no
What I
idea.
can tell you, Steve, is that those questions have been asked.
Okay,
And I don't know, there are a plethora of
Yeah.
email that have happened in the last 2 to 3 hours. And I haven't looked at them, so
Yeah.
that's why I have to plead, I don't know.
Okay, great.
So yeah, I wanted to say too, so if, I guess technically now you need to be a resident and a registered voter, but if you took the position before 2001, there's a law that you just have to be a property owner. But any new person would have to be a resident.
no, not if the county supervisors pick them, it was my understanding.
No, right, okay, so you're still going if the county supervisor would actually.
Under the old rules, when we were under the county, they could pick whoever they wanted. And the reason I say that is that I'm aware of other special districts in this county where they picked people who were not residents or qualified in any real way to serve on those boards, and they picked them anyway. The downside of doing that is it those doing their job? So I would strongly urge the city council, if they, that I would definitely follow the guidelines that we followed of hopefully a resident and voter of Rancho Rinconada, because generally speaking, they have the most interest in what we're doing here. You know, so I would certainly hope that they would be, but now that the supervisor thing is closed, as he pointed out, there's been a zillion emails that you've got to catch up on legally to find out what the process is going to be now, because it's a new process to all of us. So, but yeah, it is a very strange thing that the supervisor could pick whoever they wanted, and they could live over in Milpitas just as long as or they could even live in Fremont. Who knows? You know, so they didn't have to be a resident, but the rules, as we understood it, are that to apply, the people who applied, all three of them are residents and voters in the district and willing to serve. So
I suspect from the email traffic between the city clerk and one of our attorneys, that these three will be put forward to council.
yeah,
Yeah, I'd like to confirm that, and I will with city manager Gordon as soon as I get the opportunity.
that would
And
be
I'll
good.
pass that on to you.
And I'll forward everything as soon as I get it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
And you would forward it, I assume, to the whole board,
Of
correct?
course.
Of course.
Yeah.
No, you were like, I don't know, you're like, I was like, I just want to make sure.
Okay, so this is the spring project plan. We've completed 2 items there, and we're working on the rest of it. It's all in your packets. And that is it.
Did you want to, what can you just, okay, right.
On the screen.
Did you,
Yeah.
you were talking about going back and redoing some stuff.
Sorry?
It's right here.
The-
Page 5.
In your presentation, there was some stuff you talked about revisiting. I don't know.
Oh, you want to go back?
No, well, like that one.
Oh,
Are
yeah.
you gonna do that?
Okay.
Yeah, sure. Sandy, you had questions about the shed project.
Yes, I did.
Yes.
So this came up while you were.
Where
gone.
is that?
It's right here. Right there.
Okay. So this has been going on almost 3 years, and we have so far spent $11,000, $11,196, and we don't have a shed. And my concern was in the beginning that we could have had a shed for under $1,000, and it would have been up for 3 years now.
I'm
And could I,
confused.
excuse me,
Okay.
and could I have the names of these companies that I need the names of these companies that
Definitely,
you,
it's all in the minutes, so if you wanted to check. LHA is right here, and the other one is Interstate Fence Company.
okay, wait a minute.
I'll need to find the
Is there
structural
is there a
engineer's name.
pen? Can I use your pen?
Sure.
Okay, Interstate Fence, and where are they? Well, I mean, there's a lot of
information-
interstate fences.
So, why-
Is this information you can get outside the
I'm
meeting?
getting, we're talking about this, excuse me?
Sorry?
Go ahead. Interstate Fence Company, what else?
There's LHA, which is on here, and the rest of them I'd have to look up.
Of
So
what?
I'd have to look up the other ones. I don't have their information.
Okay, you
memorized.
don't, how many different companies did you inform? How many different companies had to be involved?
Well, we've got a structural engineer, we've got an architect.
Okay, you have an architect,
Yes, which is LHA.
LAJ,
It's on there. It's the first line.
it's
First
kind of
two lines.
little,
Yeah.
okay, LHA,
Yes, correct.
and there's this.
We've got various permit fees from the city. And the city of Cupertino required us to do certain things, and so we've done them. We've got stamped engineer drawings, just as we're supposed to.
That was done way before.
A year of delay was due to the board deciding not to approve one of the plans. So some of these delays are out of my hands. So,
I just think it's excessive to
Okay.
find a place to store wetsuits, but
So I'm still confused. So is the shed project the same as the space project?
it's a part of it. It's the last. phase
Oh,
of it,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
So we started a long time ago, but we really only started it in 2018 is when it actually.
was your
Okay.
office part of the space project?
Yes.
How come you didn't do the curtains here, the window treatment here when you did your office?
it was
Wouldn't
in
that have been,
phases.
wouldn't that have been kind of an
Yeah.
expedient?
Done in phases.
But that was brought to the board, because I've been talking about window treatment, which I finally got 2 years. So it seems to me when you did your office, that would have been a natural thing to say, look, I'm doing my office. Why don't we do this? Because this has been brought up and it wasn't.
As a board member, you're free to request any.
But I did,
projects.
I
Okay.
did.
And then you did, and it happened, so.
Yeah, but 2 years later.
Um,
Okay.
Is that all? Did
So are these people local so I could get in touch with them?
You can get in touch with all of them. I can provide you all their information.
Okay, great, thank you. Oh, and getting in touch with me, I didn't get an agenda. I haven't gotten an agenda for 3 months.
Okay.
What email are you sending it
The
to?
same one I've sent it to for years.
Okay, but I'm not getting it.
So I would check my junk mail, and I would also check to make sure you haven't blocked the email address I sent it
Why
from.
would I block it? That would be ridiculous.
I'm not sure. If you want,
I get
can
my
help
mail
you.
from everybody.
Sure.
I got it from Nancy Clark. She's able to get in touch with me,
Okay.
but nobody else seems to be. And plus I have this Gmail address that I'm not aware of. Are you sending anything to that?
Nope. It's all to the MSN address. If you'd like, I can send it to a different address. I'm not sure what, I can help you with your email, but I offered once. You said no.
But I don't want my email on one of these computers, that's all. I don't feel comfortable with that.
Sure.
I don't know why. So I'm not getting any information, so it's really hard for me to go over the agenda beforehand.
Okay. Well, I've been sending them to you, and like I said, I'm willing to work with you anytime. So just let me know what you want to do, and we can get that fixed.
If I may suggest a
I don't know
possible
what to
solution.
do.
There's an easy solution to this problem, Sandra, and that is when you email the rest of us, print out 2 copies in the office, and you can call our number and say, there's a hard copy in the office if you're not getting the email.
Why should
that
I
way
have
she'll
to
get
go
it in the
running
same day
around
we do,
looking for
which
my
is,
email?
I'm happy to help you fix your email, but I do need to look inside to get there. So, or the other thing too is we have Rancho Recreation emails coming up. So once you move to that, then for sure.
Is that where my Gmail address, because I have this Gmail thing that I never signed up for that says missrancho1@gmail.com.
No, that's Hilly's address. That's her address.
Oh, because my name was before it on the group thing.
Right. So
I
that's
got
you.
that. I
Yes.
got that
Yeah.
email.
Right.
But I didn't get any other emails. I haven't got any for some reason.
Which is why I think potentially the email I send it from is blocked. So I'm not sure how to help you there.
I didn't block it, so I'm not sure how to do it either.
But there's an easy workaround.
Yeah.
The what?
There's an easy workaround. Whenever he sends out stuff to the rest of us, you can call your.
Well, maybe I could just get it from Sophie from now on if it's not working. When she gets hers, she can just email me. Would that be okay with everybody?
I mean, it should be. The only problem is if I've emailed another board member, then that would be a quorum.
No, it wouldn't.
Yeah.
Not if she
it
just
would be.
did it to me.
So let's
for
say I
me.
send it to Sophie and Miriam, and then she forwards it to you. That's 3. So we wouldn't be able to do that.
Well, I
And
guess
a way
I
to
just
get around
won't
that
get
is
my,
just
I
pick up
guess
the
I
hard
just
copy.
won't get it unless somebody delivers it, drops it in my mailbox. You can mail it to me,
Okay. Well,
whatever.
once we roll out the Rancho Recreation Board email addresses, then you can move to that, and at that point, you'll definitely get everything.
Okay. Sounds good.
I think there might be a little bit of confusion. The Brown Act says no more than 2 board members can individually talk about a specific item of business.
Right.
So you emailing everybody is fine, just like the city manager emails all of us council members.
Right.
If I had a email, I can then call any of the other 4 council members and have a discussion or send an email. I, as a councilman, cannot send it to more than 1. So Sophie should be able to send an email that she gets to any other singular board member.
If it comes from me. The
Right.
problem is that if there's a discussion that takes place that gets forwarded, then what you're having is you're having either a chain and spoke meeting or you're having a daisy chain meeting. So there's more complicated forms of Brown Act violations that you can run into by forwarding these. It's better to keep them completely segregated. So you know what I'm talking about, right? Okay. So yeah, it's better not to, just to avoid even the appearance or possibility of, let's say that Sophia and Miriam discuss how they, think about a certain topic, and that information gets forwarded to Sandy. They've essentially kind of had advanced knowledge of what the other person.
That would not be allowed.
Correct. Yeah.
Right.
But
Yes,
if you're
yours.
sending an email to all of the councilmen,
Yes.
there has been no discussion.
Right.
So then one council person, one board member can go ahead and send it to another.
Yeah, what's wrong
Right.
with
So
that?
for one
And really, the
particular
topic here
release,
was just
that's
the
fine.
agenda.
But from now on, if I'm always sending everything through Sophia, then there could be problems.
No, you're not
As a
sending, you're
regular
just
thing.
sending hers to her. She's sending hers to me.
So if we're having regular communications, for example, there's always a possibility that could happen.
Or you can just double check that you have the right email for Sandy. It's really,
It's
this isn't
It's
really that
ridiculous.
complicated.
So to give you an idea, I don't manually type them
Maybe
in.
she
I
could
write
copy.
board and it's a group.
Hey, I got
And
an
it makes
You just
idea.
need to fix your mail list. This isn't that hard.
No, it's the same mail list I've been using for years.
Well, then obviously it's wrong. Get it?
It's ridiculous.
It's been sent. It's the right email address.
But it's probably it is probably in her junk mail. It's usually.
You know what I do? I am meticulous about my email. Every morning, I look at my email, I read everything that's pertinent, I go to my junk mail, then I go to my deleted items. I am meticulous, trust me. And I have not got any emails from Rancho for 3 months. At the end of January was the last email that I got. And I even have emails that I've emailed to Kevin to ask him, please try to figure out what's wrong. And he said he doesn't want me to email him anymore because it makes him uncomfortable. I have it right here.
The things
Don't
that make me
email- don't email me.
uncomfortable are
I-
unprofessional
I
emails.
received several emails
Don't.
from you today, which I have attached. I have all my emails that I mailed to him.
So you do get emails.
I have the ones that I mailed you, and I got this
So you gotta return.
from, I got this from Sophie.
Yeah, and I reply to every single email. So if it's not
I
getting
got
back
this
to
from
you-
Sophie,
So
and it says, I received several emails, and I do not find them helpful in carrying out business, and frankly, find them uncomfortable.
yes.
And I remain available to assisting individual board members where appropriate. However, I would request that you do not send me emails.
of this
I have
nature.
copied the other members of the board so that they can be aware of these types of communications. I mean, that's not helpful.
Well,
Here's my email. I'm not getting any email.
Okay, we
emails.
covered that, we'll fix that. Can we move on to the next subject here? You have one more subject?
Could you explore that? I mean,
Sure. Sorry, explore what?
we have a complete city IT department. And one of their techs, I would think, would be a good answer to resolve whatever this blockage is.
He said he
Yeah.
offered to help her. She
I
wasn't.
did offer to help.
But not,
No, a city IT person.
Well, but
Okay.
that's,
Since it doesn't seem to be working,
Okay,
no, it's not.
to leave something hanging is not
that's
right.
okay.
So,
I think that's okay.
I mean,
if
I
Jeff could
think
just
it
ask the
would be
city
helpful.
IT to find out, you could send an email to Sandy and to the city IT
There
person.
you go.
And if Sandy did not get the message that the city IT person got,
There
he
you
will
go.
know how to rectify it.
I think we've done that. I've sent it to Sophia, who has received it, and then apparently Sandy has not.
And so the city IT person would,
They would still need access to Sandy's email to see what's going on there. I do believe that I'm blocked, so I don't know what to say.
I would have to have actually blocked you.
no,
And I think the only thing I block is junk mail with obscene messages.
actually, you don't have to be, you aren't the only person, the only entity that can block email.
Well, who else would be blocking?
It's not who, it's what else.
I don't believe this is
There's
something
automatic
we can
blocking that
resolve
occurs
here.
By some.
He's talking.
By some
Yes, thank you for
ISPs,
sharing.
they do automatic blocking when they they think they recognize it's junk, and they block it before you even see
This
it.
stuff has never come through on junk before.
So,
We
so
can
there's
solve
a
this
lot of reasons they
outside
can
the
get
meeting.
blocked.
We can solve this outside the
Yeah, that
meeting.
would be
Perhaps it
better.
would be good to
So-
move on.
I would encourage you just to come work with me offline.
I-
I'm perfectly
I-
willing to help you out.
I'm reluctant to do that.
Okay.
Would you be willing to work with the city IT office?
I mean, if they're willing to work with us.
I'll check into it, I'll talk to
Okay.
our IT
Sure.
director tomorrow.
That would be helpful.
Thank you.
See what
It's-
he-
I think it's
Appreciate
a
you.
great idea. So, no, you had one more piece to
No,
that,
no,
I
that's-
think. Oh, you
That's
finished
the general-
the,
The
Yeah, we're-
general.
okay,
So this check here is complete. I think,
Yes,
so
yeah.
Yay, that's done.
okay. We'll have comments. We have people have signed up. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah. Emily, could you? Thank you. Oh, oh no. Oh, yeah, we didn't turn the page. Okay, all right. I think we're starting from number 5.
Okay. So we have Anu.
Anu?
Hi, I have a couple, how much time do I have?
Have your,
5 minutes.
Okay, thank you. I've been here for about 6 different meetings at least, talking about one issue for sure among others, which is how is this board acting to communicate with residents of this community? And it seems like this card came out of it, which is volume 1, issue 1, which is a bit late, of course, because, this center has been around for 62 or 64 years, and here's volume 1, issue 1. Better late than never, that's great. So I would like more of these into the community, number 1. And number 2, as again, many people have requested, not just myself, the center needs to have an open house of some kind where residents should be invited to, and they can offer their ideas of what else they would like to see here. Again, many people have come and offered this idea many times. Nothing has been done. It's not agendized. So if I may offer a meta suggestion, I think there should be a regular board practice of actually taking people's suggestions into account. Such a small special district, this can actually be done. This can actually be a radical democratic thing to do, given that there are only 400 households here, which is actually take people's suggestions and do something about it. So that has not happened so far, and I hope it does. The second thing, and I think this needs longer discussion, but I just want to say very briefly that it's appalled to see the way one of the candidates in the last election, Varinder Kumar, was treated. It was a hit job. It felt like a hit job. It was very impolite. Apart from impolite, I mean, it was just very embarrassing to watch. Again, I really hope that the board has decided to conduct that business in a different fashion. That's not how you treat somebody who's offering their time to be on the board. And that was really embarrassing to watch. Third thing, I see here from the January minutes that Sandy made a motion to appoint Sophie Badillo as board chair. Just as a reminder, Sophie got on the board in the November election and was, I guess, sworn in December. So Sandy tells us that it has been a regular practice on this board that when a new member joins the board, they get to be board chair. Now the current board chair, Ms. Salu, has refused to concede her position, and I'm just wondering what's the conclusion of this request by Sandy. What happens to the old tradition? Why is it not being followed anymore? And honestly, given that Sophia is also the first non-white person on this board, and has taken her time in a 62 years old and in a district that's largely Asian American, I think she should be given the opportunity. I just don't understand why, or at least a good reason should be offered why she cannot, why the tradition has to be stopped now. Thank you very much.
I think the councilman was here too, when I tried to nominate Sophie for the president. And nobody said anything, quiet. I thought, well, they don't want her to be president. Our bylaws, we're supposed to choose in December. And we have why then, I really get 5001 of our bylaws, which I have here somewhere in this mess. But anyway, we tried, in fact, Councilman Willie even got up and not begged, but, implored, please, let's let this nomination go through because the community is hurting. I'm paraphrasing, but I think that's pretty close to what he said. And they will not let a nomination go through. And so I'm not sure why they don't want things to work around here. It really bothers me. Oh, here we go. 55010.5, annual organization meeting. This is the bylaws. The Board of Directors shall hold an annual organizational meeting at its regular meeting in December. At this meeting, the board will elect a president, a vice president, and clerk from among its members to serve during the coming calendar year and will appoint the district manager as the board's secretary. That did not happen. And in the past, we never had a problem. And always the new person gets to be president with some kind of traditional thing. And there's only probably been 4 or 5 people that have come onto the board since I have been here, close to 30 years all in all, between I went and came back. And that has always been the case, except for this time. This time is different. Why? I don't know. Only they know. Only they know why this lady here is still president. And will be for I don't know how long. But they don't give me a reason. Kim, so that's that.
Would you like to speak?
So I still don't have a
Okay, I
reason.
mean, you're,
Oh,
Do you
no,
have
no,
them
we
just
thought you
signed
were
in?
Signing in.
Oh,
okay, and
no.
Jeff,
We
you've,
thought- Oh, he speak.
okay, and
You
you've
do your time.
concluded yours?
Yeah.
Okay. All
Is
right.
there a reason? Is there an answer to my question?
We can't comment on
We're going to
Public comment.
finances now.
legally. We're not supposed to respond to public
Oh,
input
okay.
because it's not agendized. Unless it's agendized, then we can respond when we get to that part, the agenda.
Well, we're in violation of bylaws, folks. That's all I know.
All right, so we're gonna go over the profit and loss statement. It's a year-to-date, it has a prior year comparison, the annual budget comparison. Something to keep in mind is we're a very small entity, so the numbers tend to fluctuate quite rapidly. And we're also on a hybrid accounting and hybrid cash and accrual accounting system. So sometimes, depending on when things are, when deferred revenue is recognized, you can have different bases and different columns. It makes reading it sometimes a little confusing. But it is kind of useful as long as you take it with a grain of salt, with just seeing where you are compared to last year and compared to the budget, as long as, again, you take those things into consideration. So what you're seeing here is the income side of the district. In the far left column, what you're seeing is the year to date up to January. We do leave it a few months behind because certain things, especially credit cards, they tend to take a little bit of time to get
We don't
in.
have credit cards,
Yeah.
do we?
Yeah, we don't.
We
Are
don't
you
have
talking
credit
about-
No,
cards.
just in general. For revenue too, if someone pays something, well, I guess.
We don't
We
have
don't have
credit
credit cards.
cards.
It's cha-
We don't
cash
do
and check,
credit cards.
so
This is
why
all
would there-
cash.
We
On
buy
the
things
expense
with
side.
credit cards.
On the
Excuse
expense
On the
side.
expense side, yeah. So the income side is more or less accurate, but what I'm saying is that there are discrepancies because things take a little bit more time, which is why this is a couple months behind to allow all of those things to pass. I was using credit cards because that's the best example. So for example, you get a credit card statement after the month closes, then you have to match all of your receipts with the statement. You have to get all the approved signatures, the check has to be created, a board member has to come in, we have to mail it out, they have to cash it. By the time everything clears, it could be 2 months, which is why this is July through January, which is our fiscal year to date-ish. The column next to it is the prior year comparison. There's a dollar change, percent change, and of course the annual budget. For the most part, things that are within about 20% are generally going to be, they're going to be about on target.
So I've actually seen things where I've looked at the financials and the amount, like, if you're going to do a comparison, the amount on the, let's just, for example, pick the month like November 2018 or something. That number that was on that meeting minutes was different than when you did the comparable the next month. So is that also because QuickBooks has some type, like,
Are you talking about this statement or the balance sheet?
oh, for the balance sheet?
Do you want
Sorry,
to ask that when we get
yeah,
there?
let's do that
Okay.
with the balance sheet, sorry.
So going back to this, the percent change, if it's within about 20%, it's more or less on target. There's a lot of different things that can really, even beyond 20%, it can still be correct, but because of this deferred revenue, it can, like there's one you'll see coming up where it's like 150% above budget, but it's actually on target because of something which I'll explain later. Anyway, the aquatic section, everything's more or less on target. The swim team is actually down. This is mostly because we made a decision to add a registration fee to prevent people from coming just for the busy months of summer. But that ended up taking out those people, which reduced revenue, but it makes it so that there's more space for our swimmers in the summer. Before that, there was people swimming basically toe to finger, and it was not a very healthy situation. So less revenue, but we get better service, basically.
So to solve that problem, if there is kind of a need for, you said this was for swim lessons, correct?
No, swim team.
Or swim team?
Swim team, yeah.
Could you do, say, different sessions of swim team? Like, so for example, if the need is there and, more people want to be on the swim team, instead of just having it from, say, I don't know, let's say 3 to 5, have like 3 to 5, 5 to 7 or something like that, or.
Right, so what we did was we have 4 to 8 traditionally, then we added morning hours. We started from 9 to 10, we added 10 to 11. So we've already done that. But there's also limits because not everyone can drop their kids off at 9 in the morning during the summer. So we still ran into that problem after we increased the number of hours. And so we find ourselves at this situation where we did a registration fee to cut down on the number of summer-only people and to focus more on year-round swimmers. And the data bears it out, which you'll see in a coming report. Any other things?
No, I'm good. Thanks.
Rentals are more or less on target, but yes, pool rentals are up, but the total amount is not very much. The barbecue rentals are down. This is a significant drop, but again, the total number is not very significant. This is probably because we got rid of the 6-hour barbecue rental and instead just have 2 3-hour rentals, and it looks like people didn't go ahead and get 2 of them back to back. So you might want to look at reinstating that.
In terms of the pool rental, though, I've still been trying to get information about
Sure.
the Oasis Swim School.
Sure.
And I know there are people also in the audience too, and I never got that information.
Did you ask me? I don't remember seeing an email with that. Or
This was-
dropping by.
This was back in the meeting it was,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm always available. I know you're requesting a whole lot of data, so why
Right.
don't we talk after the meeting and we'll get all the stuff you need. Sound good?
But I think also other people in the neighborhood wanted to see
Sure.
the Oasis stuff, correct?
So if you want, give me a list of what you want to see. I'll put a report together for the next meeting. Like, is there
Okay, so
something
it
in
would be-
particular that you're looking for? Or, I mean,
I was just saying, I just saw the pool rentals and I still haven't seen the information for the Oasis
Yes.
Swim School. So, I mean, that's just one of them. I don't have like a list in front of me, but.
okay, yeah. I mean, if you give me a list of what you want, at some point I can put it together and put it on here.
And then we
For-
can have it in the next meeting.
You got it. Yeah.
Just to give a little bit of information about this Oasis Swim School. This person was hired, and I thought, okay, and I was wrong about this, to bring programs to our facility. And what he's been hired at $57,000 a year salary. And he runs his own swim school on Saturday. The parking lot is packed. We get no benefit from that. He pays $80 an hour. And the county council sanctioned that on the basis of, well, he rented the pool before we hired him. And what kind of rationale is that? I don't know. But this guy is making a lot of money here. So that's a little bit of information about the Oasis Swim School.
As a just to fill that in a little bit more, We do rent out the lanes to outside organizations to make extra money. Of course, it's during off hours, which are generally unused. The Oasis Swim School came to us before this person was an employee. He was hired as a part-time coach first, and then the board approved him as a salaried head coach, at which point, very recently, within the last year, he was moved to what's called a program manager.
I
which is
found
not-
out about this Oasis Swim School in July, and it's put up a lot of red flags for me. And I think it's a conflict of interest, without any doubt. And I have three instances of conflict of interest where he could fall under all three of them. And this is by California definition of conflict of interest. And that bothers me.
So-
And he had access to the office. Other people who rent the pool do not. He makes probably about $300 or $400 per person on his swim lessons. And he's taking the pool for maybe 4 hours for $320. I mean, that's a hell of a deal, I think. And he had his name on if you went to Rancho Rinconada or Oasis Swimming School, his sign is on our facility. And you would think that this was the Oasis Swimming School. And I actually found a parent in the parking lot to find out about what the name of the swimming school was, who is it and who runs it. And I had no knowledge. I'm on the board. I had no knowledge of all the interworkings of this Oasis Swim School. And they tried to justify it in many ways and finally got county council to say, yeah, it's okay. That's what happened. That's not a lot of the details, but that's the overview of the Oasis Swimming School, which Steve at one time on Nextdoor said, oh, it's okay because he teaches only in Chinese. And I thought, no, because these kids are speaking English. I have it where you said that.
So we were talking about pool rentals and
Yeah,
what
well-
percentage of pool rentals is Oasis income versus the other people who rent from us? It's a minority, right?
I don't know off the top of my head, but what I do know is that the number of private swim rentals to the public has actually not gone down. It's actually gone up.
Yeah.
And our prices have not gone up.
Well, if all those people were coming here, we'd learn a lot more, wouldn't we?
I know.
Maybe. There are only so many scuba schools.
Only
in Santa Cruz.
20% of our
Santa
business
Clara
is
Valley.
local. Everything is from somewhere else. And the swimming school person is from somewhere else. He lives in Fremont. He brings people from all over.
So
For his
we can
school.
address this in a
For
future
his
meeting
school.
if we're gonna bring all of that, and I can have a presentation and then we can talk about it.
So question
Kinda
about like
off
the pool
track.
rental. But the Oasis swim person pays the in-resident rate, correct?
No, so the Oasis swim person pays what
$80 an hour.
what an organization would pay that has their own insurance and is a regular renter. So it's not like a one-off sort of thing. It's the residents, I believe they pay $100 an hour. So it's not a significant discount, but they do carry their own insurance and other.
But they don't put their name on our business.
So normally when you rent a facility to do business, you would kind of advertise.
You could say
the-
our classes are held at Rancho Rinconada. You don't put Oasis Swimming School or on our building.
Like I said, we can address this. in a
It's
future
down
meeting.
now. It got taken off when I brought it up a couple months ago. I noticed it's disappeared. You should know that too.
Sure. So if you want, when we put together that presentation, then we can revisit the topic. All right, moving on. So Swim Camp is a new program, so we don't have a prior year comparison on that one. Our snack bar comes about the same, and overall for the year, we're up very slightly, but it's, mostly in line with last year. Oop, I guess I had some examinations.
So for the swim camp, when does that start? Is that an all-year thing?
No, it starts in June. It's more
Okay.
like a summer. It's a summer only thing.
Okay.
As far as the expense side,
Can I ask a question?
sure.
The previous slide, it seems like the property taxes from this community are listed as profit. I don't understand that. Just the designation as profit, it's not money that the center is making from any kind of activity. It's just you're passively receiving that income tax from the community. I mean, you can hardly be described as profit.
So the report's just called a P&L, profit and loss statement. That's what it's called. So, I mean, we can change the name, but
I think it should be because it's not money made, it's just money received because people just live here and, you know, I mean, that's not really profit in any conventional sense of the word.
okay.
And it's not.
All right, so here's the expense side. As you can see, it follows the same sort of format as the previous one. Our administrative fees are roughly more or less in line for the most part. The facility fees are down, but this is, the pool numbers are about to go up significantly because we have some big repairs coming. We installed a new pump as well, and we're about to get new probes and a heater maintenance and some other things. So we're more or less in line with the previous year. For our programs, our advertising is in fact much higher than last year and is expected to continue. The mailers that we're sending out to the community are not free, and we're going to be sending quite a few more out. So that will be much, much, much larger than our budget.
So what advertising is the 26, 24? Because I don't think that includes that mailer, because I think that mailer went out in February. So
Right.
that would include, I guess you guys did a couple books for a Shutterfly or Shutterstock or something like that. That
No,
would be-
no. That's a crazy amount for those books.
I was gonna say,
No.
because I've seen coupons on Groupon.
Yeah. Okay, so the bulk of this is actually for Peach Jar. Peach Jar is what sends out information to the local schools, which is where we're talking about our swim camp and our lessons. So they had a deal going on in November or December of last year, I
Mhm.
believe, where they said you get a certain percentage off. And I said, well, we're going to be using this, so we bought extra.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So it won't all be used this year.
But okay,
Make sense?
but it was prepaid.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So we did do our summer camp advertising, which again, the board was aware of and blessed as well. So, let me see here, program supplies, it's pretty much, it's very small amounts either way. Didn't use my fancy thing. Personnel expenses are up. Again, this is, most of it is due to 3 factors. One of them is that the minimum wage has gone up significantly in the past couple years. Our starting wage for lifeguards is $15 an hour, and our starting for swim instructors is $17 an hour. This obviously has pulled everything up. Of course, our salaries have also gone up, and another piece of that
Hugely.
as well is that there was a fairly large cash out of PTO as well. So it's about roughly a third each is the payroll wages. And then of course, everything goes up with that, the payroll tax expenses. The health benefits, of course, went up because we went from a bronze to a silver plan. Retirement benefits went up, of course. Insurance, now this is the one I was talking about where it says 140% increase. It's not actually 140%. What it is workers' compensation, they take a set amount of money every year, and then if the expenses aren't that high, they issue a refund. So the refund of about $10,000 is in this column, but it's not in this one until the end of the year. So this is an example of one of those things where deferred revenue or expenses can mess up the way you look at it. We're actually about on target. So this is showing a net ordinary income of negative 20%. It's not that drastic. So, but as we go into the year, we'll see more of that. Any questions? No. Okay. Going on to the balance sheet. The balance sheet is a snapshot, so we're not looking at a flow in and out. We're just looking at what did we have on January 31st. We're doing a prior month comparison to show where the money's moving. There's another statement called a cash flow statement. Frankly, I find it really confusing, so I find this a really easy way to see where is money moving in and out from, and that's what it's used for. You can see our current assets, the way it works is that more liquid assets are at the top and less liquid assets are at the bottom. So at the top, we have cash in our county account. We have over $1 million as of January 31st.
Who makes the deposits for the different accounts? Is it you or is it Sunny?
So the county makes the deposits into the county accounts.
Okay, so is that from property tax? How does that work?
That is from property tax.
Okay,
So what happens is the money goes into there, and when we need to take money out, the board, one of the board members signs for that transfer to go into the Wells Fargo account.
I see, okay.
Currently, the heritage accounts are not used and will be closed very soon. So yeah.
So there's more than one, okay, there's
Yeah.
the money, sorry.
Their money market.
Oh, there's a focus bank and then the money market does, okay,
Oh, yeah. Focus got bought out by Heritage.
okay.
So that's our cash position. So you can see that from December to January, money moved out the county account in the order of about $16,000, which to me sounds like we did a transfer and also money from property tax went in simultaneously. Down below, under other current assets, we've got prepaid insurance. So we pay insurance ahead of time, and then every month or several months, we'll kind of accrue that over time. We've got fixed assets, kind of, okay, do that again. Okay.
So how do you determine the depreciation on the pool?
That was not determined by me. That
Okay.
was way before my time, so I honestly have no idea.
Actually, the first auditor would have determined that.
Yeah.
And the subsequent auditors we've hired in the intervening years have followed the same schedules as, although if I remember right, they've changed a little bit per the regulations. But yeah, you figure it out the first time you do balance sheets like this, and then it accumulates over years. So our auditors set that up because they were qualified to do it as CPAs. We weren't really qualified.
So yeah, those decisions were made in 2005. I was working here, but not in there, so not in the office. On the equity and liability, we have our accounts payable. So this would be bills we haven't paid yet. So that's the amount there. We've got our credit cards, again, not too much spending on there. Other usually mostly deposits are in the other current liabilities section. And the equity shows the difference with, of course, the capital replacement fund that the board has authorized, and we will hopefully add more to soon. Any questions?
Could you go back?
Yeah. Oh, you had a question about something, right?
Yeah, so what was on the balance sheet, I guess I don't have the thing in front of me, but the comparables, I guess I'll have to do it at the next meeting.
Okay, yeah.
But it was weird. It was like they didn't balance out. I know you talked about that, but also the amount was a little different.
Right, so these straight from come in account numbers and also under fixed assets, there's depreciation. So clean them up, and then, I believe last time what happened was that the formulas were still in place when we were cleaning it up, and that affected everything.
Okay,
So-
but it's weird because sometimes the balance sheets, like when I looked at it last, and I'm sorry I don't have my paperwork with me, but some months it did balance out, but other months it did not.
So it's
It was-
probably
it
just a
was weird.
formula thing.
Okay.
So here's the thing is that monthly financial reports are kind of hard for us to do. And in fact, it might be better to go to quarterly reports just because things like this do happen. There's like timing issues, things like
I
that.
think this is probably better than quarterly, I think.
It's better in that you can see what's happening, but it is also confusing. So as long as the board's willing to go with confusing reports that are going to confuse people because they don't have access to the information, such as that there's a workers' comp refund that's showing from last year's column but not in this year's column. As long as that's okay with the board, that's okay with me too. We can do it monthly, but there will be confusion.
But that's what we're doing right now is we're doing it monthly. Right?
Yes, yeah.
So I got a
Yeah.
question too. So
Sure.
it shows that the, in terms of the fixed assets of the, I guess, sorry, my eyes are really bad. So the swimming pool, the net book value went up from December.
Net, but it
Can
might.
you explain that?
I'm not sure. How much did it go up by?
It was 2,000.
2,000. Yeah,
something
that's
like that.
probably a capital, asset being added, like a pump, for example.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Capital improvement.
exactly.
Okay.
So it gets added to and also depreciated.
Right. Well, I want to see that. I know that was one of the questions that I had, so I wanted to see which equipment actually got bought with, the pool to figure out exactly what the numbers.
Sure, yeah. So what we can do is we can sit down and you can take a look at our fixed asset list, go through the whole thing. It's totally available. Okay, all right.
Is this it for interim financial report?
Yeah, we went all the way through the end.
Yep.
Unless there's other questions.
You have a question? Oh, okay, okay. All right, so we want to review and approve our independent audit.
I move to approve the audit, so we can meet the deadline. I believe it's coming up pretty soon. And we've had a couple months to review it ever since it's been presented to us by our CPA. So that should be plenty of time, I would hope.
Yeah, I
Before we discuss it, you want to second it?
Yeah, we can't
It's
discuss
usually
unless somebody
motions are
seconds it.
made, they're seconded, and then they discussion. So would you like to make a second so we can discuss it?
so this would be a motion to approve to discuss it. I'm
It's
still-
just a motion
To
to
approve
approve it,
The audit.
then
Oh,
discussion
to approve
follows.
the audit.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I'm not gonna approve the audit, I'm sorry.
Then we can
Then we
discuss
can
it.
talk about it.
Okay, all right, so it's not approved?
So what's I have a question though, before we go off this item, since it's agendized. What's the date we have to approve by legally in order not to be in default with the state of California?
I would say June. I already have people from the county asking for it. So
Because we're at least 2 months overdue based
Yeah.
on the last 30 years of submitting them.
Well, the problem that I have is, I got a spreadsheet and I wanted to know what the deferred revenue was. And the spreadsheet just did not have individual transactions on it.
Uh-huh.
So me personally,
Maybe you could second it so you can talk about
Yeah.
it.
but if I seconded it, that means I would approve it.
No, it
No.
doesn't mean, it just
I thought-
allows discussion,
No, that
it makes
doesn't
the
mean
motion,
approval.
then we have a vote,
Why don't you second it?
basic.
usually the chair's not.
Why don't you
She wants to
second it?
talk about it.
Well, has it been seconded?
No,
Well, why don't you second it?
she wants to talk about it.
And she's the one who wants to talk
I
about
don't
it.
understand what.
I just want to approve it because it looks good to me.
Well, I'm not approving it.
Well, we're not at
We're
that
not
stage
having
yet
a
because we
vote.
haven't seconded my motion
We
to
just
approve it.
Seconding it doesn't mean that you approve.
It's just a
There's still a
basic
vote after that.
procedure in
Well, I
parliamentary
guess nobody's
procedure.
seconding it.
Okay, fine.
I mean,
All right, so we just go to the next one, I guess. So we'll go
Yes.
to the director's fees, and you mentioned that.
Yes, so it's in your packet. If you take a look at it.
Sure.
This is on page, oh boy.
Past 35, I think it's 36, 37.
37.
37, yeah. Past the audit, we wouldn't approve.
So what you're seeing on page 37 is a list of the board expenses for
Oh, right. So
Yeah.
it would be, is that
uh,
the previous one, I believe? There it is.
There, yeah.
Okay.
So this is, and it may not be the same time frame because this is through March 1st. This one ends January 31st.
Okay.
But you could, if you wanted to, you could try taking out some of the transactions and then get to the same number.
So this includes, you said January?
It goes up to January 31st. So you should
Okay.
have, you could take out the bottom couple transactions.
Oh, I see. So it would be the ones over here.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it should be 3694. I believe. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's the additions board, and it's not an E, of course, is, let's see here, item, the California Special District Association, that's the training.
Right.
Or it was the, you remember the board packet I gave you?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so that's part of that. And then down here, Enzo's, that was the board dinner
Right.
as well. So those are the two transactions that made it so the numbers aren't even.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's,
Okay, are you concluded with that?
Yes. Thank
Okay.
you.
We're on 3D, review and approve February check register.
I move to approve it.
You want second? Anyone?
Yeah, before I actually, I wanted to actually go through these and go through.
I didn't get a chance to see it. Because I didn't get the agenda. We used to do that during the month when this happened, you know,
That we did do.
Well, we
We
haven't
used
been
to-
approving anything.
to check it off against,
Yeah, I had a question.
against the,
Well, perhaps we
Checkbook.
could have a second.
I didn't see any of that.
You still could second.
I'm not, why don't you second it?
All right, so I guess,
If you want, we can do this in between meetings or before the meeting.
Yeah, it would make more sense rather than take up everyone's time with
Yeah.
elections.
From now on, I've asked for us ahead of time, so maybe next time you could come, maybe.
or we can do like a pre-meeting or
Sure,
something.
sure, yeah, absolutely, and you can go over all the stuff, ask any questions about the agenda. These will be available, so, and then once they're approved, then we'll file it.
I see,
Yeah.
okay.
So-
So it'll be approved first, so as long as I go and I can get through it. then
Sure,
we'll
yeah,
be
yeah,
okay.
these are available to you, so
Okay.
don't worry, like, they're.
Yeah, I had a question too. So I guess for the credit card statements, when you guys actually do the check
Yeah.
to do that,
Yeah.
do you guys put that all together with the statements or is that?
Yes, yeah,
Okay,
so the statement has all of the receipts attached
The
to it.
backup.
okay,
And then you can look at the whole thing, it's all there.
okay.
So
I
we
wasn't
have-
sure if it was like in a different folder or
No,
something
no,
like that.
it's
Okay,
stapled together, so yeah,
Okay.
we'll talk
All right.
more about,
okay, sure.
yeah.
The backup is always attached to every check we are asked to sign. Well, I'll move to approve the March check register since the February failed.
We have a second?
So I'm sorry, I still had a question about this. So,
But we don't have a second,
Yeah,
so
we
we can't
can't
discuss it.
discuss it.
oh, we can't discuss it?
Yeah,
Right.
now if you want to second it, you can talk about it.
Okay, I guess we'll just move on then. It's fine. If I want to talk about it with you later, then I don't have to
Yeah,
second.
so I really highly suggest coming in, so, because you have a lot of questions and I want to answer all of them. So please come into the office. Sunny and I will help you learn whatever you want. You can look at QuickBooks, click through everything, you can see all the records, no problem. But come in so that you can learn about it.
Thank you.
Okay. On F, sign board member as check signer.
I'll volunteer again.
Maybe Sophie
Maybe
wants to
somebody-
do it so
why
you
don't
can look at all
Sophie-
Yeah,
that.
I
Sophie's
actually,
not
I
authorized
can't,
yet.
I'm not authorized to be a check signer.
Because she won't come in to go to the bank to become authorized.
I see.
And until you do,
I did call you a few times.
yeah,
Oh, was that for, okay, so I actually have to go to the bank?
you have to go to the bank.
Okay, I saw that you called me, I was on vacation and I had surgery,
Not a
so,
problem, yeah, it's whenever you're ready.
okay.
But until that happens, I'm willing to sign
And
for another
I also
month.
need a key as well, so we
Sure,
could
that would
probably
be
do that
fine.
on,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, in fact, we can close down Heritage Bank at the same time.
Nobody else is volunteering?
So what needs to happen to actually close those bank accounts? Was that something that was decided before I was a board member?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And they've just still been open?
Yeah, there wasn't
Okay.
an impetus to do it immediately, so.
Okay,
But now there is, because they've been inactive for a while.
I'll call the question.
Okay, which one?
F.
F.
Oh, wait, did we have a second? Oh, wait, we don't need a
We
second.
don't need a
Yeah, we
second,
don't need a
nobody else has volunteered.
Yeah, we're good.
Who's qualified to volunteer?
Okay. Number 4,
I move to approve the meeting minutes for both January meetings and both February meetings. And if we second it, then we can discuss why we haven't approved them previously, perhaps. We need a second for that, please.
I didn't get mine, so I'm not gonna approve it after I've read it.
Sure.
about it.
It's been the same thing for the last 4 months.
You sure the chair can't
You should at least seen
second
it
this?
then.
What happened
Okay,
at that
I'll
meeting
second it
last
if you
time?
want to discuss
Yeah.
it, but
So we've had now at least 2 weeks to review these minutes, in some cases back to January 14th. And I know I haven't found any corrections to them. Has anybody else got any corrections to them?
I remember, I don't remember which meeting it was. I'm sorry, I've been, there's some stuff I've been going through, but in one of the meetings, there was not, I don't think we did a roll call. But I can't remember which one of the meetings that
I
was.
thought I saw a roll call on all four.
Yeah, but I don't think we did a roll call.
But if it turns out there's not a roll call, we can always change it in the future and approve them for now so that we can move on with our business. But if we subsequently do find a correction, you can always add a correction at a later date if you find a discrepancy down the line, because sometimes that happens.
Okay.
How come it takes so long to get the minutes up? Why, I mean, we have the meeting, why can't they?
Because we don't approve them, that's why.
We can't put the minutes up at all, right? So.
Oh, I guess, wait, are you trying to say, why do the minutes
Takes so long.
go up like 72 hours, one for the previous one before the next
Right,
meeting?
because they weren't approved, right?
Well,
Is that a-
drafts, yeah.
Yeah, they're drafts.
Well, yeah, until
Well,
you-
that doesn't give me a lot of time. Because I'm not getting any information.
well, you should take action.
But we got a fix for that now.
Yeah,
Um,
hopefully.
Okay, was there any more discussion?
No, I'm good.
Okay, can we call the question? All in favor? You're not going to approve the minutes?
No, because there was I really want to make sure which one it was where the roll call wasn't taken. So, because then we would have to amend it later, just approve it at a later time.
So just on the basis of a roll call. Okay.
Then, okay, meeting minutes not approved. Operation.
So did you two abstain or did you
Vote.
did you vote no or abstain?
No?
I'm not voting.
So I
is
guess
that
you're
an
abstaining.
abstention?
No. Was it a no or?
I'll vote no. I'll vote no. I'll say no.
Okay.
I guess you're abstaining.
Right, because,
You should do that.
well, I don't.
Then
I'm
you
trying
should
to
amend.
get 3 months on this guy. And
You could read them on the website.
I don't like reading things online. I like paper.
Well, that's why I
I
say you
take
can come
the
in and we can give you
newspaper.
Well, then what
I
are you
pay a lot
talking
of
about
money.
when you don't get them? You don't
I
want to
get
come
the
and get them.
newspaper because I like books. I like,
If
You know,
you'd like,
I-
we can print out
I don't-
a copy. for
I
you
don't
in
have,
advance.
I don't have.
I think that would be the best solution since she likes paper.
Yeah.
To follow my suggestion of
That's
when you
right.
send
Can
them
you
out to
just
us an
mail
email, print
You
them
can
out
mail them,
and
yeah.
then
you
call
can
her and
mail
tell
them.
her that they're here or spend the
Whatever.
postage. It's only a
It's
few
like $1.
$100 a year. So when we send that, because we're only sending the audit out now for the 5th time and it's 32 pages, which means 4 ounces per issue. So that's $2 per copy.
Yeah,
So
we go
yeah,
through
it'll be
about-
under $100 probably.
We go through a ream of paper.
Sandra's worth $100. So of
Thank you.
postage.
Okay, we're now moving to operations. Kevin, you'll update us on the facility status?
Yes, the beautiful windows, which
I
the
saw
board
that.
has approved, have been installed, and we're very happy with them so far. The shades should be installed at the end of the month, so you guys can look forward to that. If you guys want to come in for a tour, we'd be happy to do that as well.
I was here when the windows were being installed and nobody was here except the workers. How come there's no supervision
For
here?
only 15 minutes was there
15
nobody here.
minutes.
The rest of
Pardon
the time
me?
there was
I
somebody here.
don't care. I don't care.
Be-
Not
Because,
people-
our employees.
From before, and I've mentioned it before with him not being here and things going on, workers are here, people are in the pool, and he's not here,
Who are you referring to?
period.
Yeah.
And they said that you went to lunch.
I didn't
So
go
you
to
say
And
lunch.
that
Kevin
you
is
would
not
be
here.
back.
You're saying
No, Kevin was not here.
Look, I took a day off.
And the
on
whole
Wednesday.
place
I
was
wasn't-
open. The
that
whole
was a day
place
off.
was open.
So-
Well, they shouldn't be here on your day off.
So Jay was here.
No, he was not.
He
He
was.
was
No,
here.
Listen, I was here, Bull Glass was here, and no one else was
If
here.
you'll let me finish. Jay was here.
No, he was
If
not.
you will let me finish.
No, he was
Jay
not.
was here and
He
Sonny can
went to
attest to it.
lunch.
He went out to grab lunch and he came back.
Well,
very-
then he wasn't here.
Okay, what would you want to do
I would
as a
say that
resolution?
he should wait and get his lunch after they got
They were
done.
supposed to be done by that point. but
Well,
didn't.
he
weren't.
won't starve to death in the meantime. And you shouldn't be here. People shouldn't be running around here with no supervision,
Okay.
period.
If you would like to make
Period.
a policy about that at some point, you can.
Why would there be a policy? It's common sense.
So
Well, because your common sense and everybody else's might be different.
Oh, yeah, right.
That's
You know,
why we-
that's why we
Common
have
sense.
policies and procedures.
It's like alternate
And-
facts,
and
right?
so we
There's
can- we can-
facts and then there's alternate facts.
We can make a policy
Oh,
that,
I don't
that
think we
somebody
need
has
to
to be
just
here whenever a
tell,
contractor's here.
somebody
But the
needs
downside
to
of
be
that
here.
is that
Somebody needs to be here when workmen are here and everything's wide open.
So I got a question.
They could get hurt.
I got a
Anything
question.
could
I got a
happen.
question. No, they have their
Anything
own
could happen.
workman's comp.
Anything
we
could
haven't
happen
done
like in a
before, so
minute.
the only thing they
So
have
the
access to
question I have is,
He should have been here and he should
he
have had
was,
his
except for
lunch.
15 minutes.
Well, then he wasn't
And he told
here.
the workman he was leaving for 15 minutes and he came back. And they were
No,
still doing
no,
the
he
windows.
didn't, because I was here 15 minutes and he was not here.
So anyway.
So anyway, you need supervision,
So-
and I mentioned this at least 4 times
So,
for 4 different reasons.
so the
Like Chloe
problem,
and Chris in the pool, nobody's here, that happened 3 times.
the problem,
They told me that
So
Kevin
they
said,
would be
don't worry about it,
the district.
the
that
problem
they don't
is,
have to pay attention to
if
me.
we enact
I'm
a
just
policy
a
like
board member, and
this,
stop
we're gonna have
talking
to have
over me.
an employee here
You're very
8 hours
impolite.
while they
You're
do all the
talking
yard
over
work.
me, Steve,
And
and
we're
you're
gonna have
always
to pay them for 8
standing up,
hours.
being the big man around here, and I'm tired of it. So don't bully me.
I'm not bullying you.
Yeah,
All I'm
you
saying
know,
is that.
I'm not to be bullied, believe me.
All I'm saying is that, as Kevin started to say, it's, if the board wants to make a policy stating that anytime we have a,
Workmen on the premises
premise,
that
we
needs to
need
be
an employee here,
supervision.
that means we're gonna have to pay somebody once a week to be here 8 hours.
No, because
No,
Jay
no.
is here.
No.
You
Can I
don't
finish?
you do not make appointments when nobody's gonna be here. You make appointments when people are gonna be
But I
here.
guess he was out
Can I
to lunch,
finish?
he was not.
He
here.
just
Well,
grabbed the
that's
lunch,
right.
he was gone
And he
for
should have
15
waited
minutes.
until they were gone.
I agree on that.
Okay,
he-
but
that-
can I
no.
finish?
In there, yeah.
So we need, if we need a policy, that means we're gonna have to pay an employee to be here
Oh,
whenever
my-
they're doing the lawn, stuff like
He
that.
was here anyway. He
Well,
went to
no,
lunch.
No, if you,
And he was-
I'm
What is
saying
your
that if we're gonna have a
argument?
policy,
What is
we're
your
gonna have to pay,
argument?
the argument
He was
is,
not here,
the argument-
period.
the argument is that independent contractors are exactly that. They work independently after you let them into your
Yeah, well,
home
if they
or
get hurt
facility.
here, then
And
you're
they're
gonna find
covered by
out they're not
workman's
gonna be
comp
so
that they pay for.
independent.
So if they
We're-
get
we're
injured on the job, it's
responsible.
not our liability.
We're responsible for anybody who gets hurt on this
No.
property.
No, that's why they have
Yeah.
their own workman's comp
Yeah,
insurance.
right. Well, you can argue
And
with them,
liability
okay?
insurance.
So
I think
if you have a policy
need
to put forward, we
supervision.
can talk about
We
that.
need a policy to
We
think.
can do a
And
policy.
The degree of supervision that you're requiring, because in the
This is
past,
the
is
4th
extraordinary.
incidence of unsupervised people on this facility.
you know,
The
some of
4th time I've mentioned it to you, and you argue, oh, well, I was here, and then I'm gonna come back. And
Sandy,
on
the
2 of
times
those
you've mentioned,
occasions,
I
you
have-
did not come
I
back.
have logs
and you
that
were
I was
never
here
here.
for many of those.
Yes.
In fact, all
You
of
can
them.
argue, and you two can shout me down, but I
No,
don't
I
care,
don't wanna shut
because
you
I'm
down.
gonna
you
stand up for
Sandy, I
myself.
have logs
And you can be
for
all
those
you want
days. There's
to,
no bullying.
because
there.
that's what you two look like, is a
No.
couple bullies. Because that's what
Did
you
we
are,
cover
I don't know
status?
how to respond to
a
that.
couple bullies.
Have we
All
covered
right,
status?
let me see here. Other
So
than that,
are we on
have,
5B?
no, A. Other than that, we have some repairs going to happen to our CO2 feed line that's causing us problems. We're going to replace our pH probe. Essentially, what happening is our pools monitor the oxidation strongly by the P is kind of where it goes. Yeah, all in the ore doesn't read very well. Pump's what we're seeing right now. So those repairs are going to come in. Repair is going to be probably under $500, which isn't that bad. But the probe, I believe, is going to be more under $1,500 because those are pretty expensive.
They're expensive probes.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've replaced them several times.
So how long do they usually last?
There's no
It
guarantee.
depends. It's just kind of a
If
random
you're lucky,
thing.
or at least a day.
Yeah, it could be a couple years.
It could be 2 hours.
But it could be less.
Yes, it could be
Okay.
hours.
All right.
So it depends. It
Okay.
really depends.
All right.
So that should be coming up again. It'll be on the check registers at some point. You'll see it.
And I noticed that you didn't put it in your report, but downstream also, we're gonna have to replace our lane lines because they're falling
yes.
apart.
Yeah.
You know?
And I guess
Yeah,
those are the actual things that separate the separators? Okay.
The steel
The lane
cables,
separators, yeah. The
Oh,
floating things.
okay.
And
Gotcha.
essentially, we could repair it or we could replace one line.
But it's just
Yeah.
not cost effective.
They've repaired every
so,
line
yeah.
at least twice already.
Yeah.
The
And
discs are all messed up. The donuts are crushed.
Right.
It's time. So
It's, yeah.
they've reached their end of life.
Okay. You've
I need to
concluded,
retire and go to the boneyard.
yes.
Or
yes.
the pool
So are we
yard.
on D yet?
well,
Yeah.
I'm saying we've concluded this facility status. Okay. Moving to B,
I
review.
move to
and
approve the replacement of the long-term, long pool covers. The two pool covers for the deep end, not the shallow end. They've been falling apart for quite a while.
It's the quotation.
Can we have a second?
Oh, this is the quote?
Yeah, 3,600 is a quote.
Are we on,
Can we have-
we're approving A, correct?
B.
No, B,
B.
please stay up.
Okay.
So can we have a second on pool covers?
Did we get any more?
Can we, if you want to talk about it, could you second it, please? It doesn't mean you approve it.
That's
It
true.
just means it's on the table for discussion.
Okay, so
Somebody-
I second to approve discussion for the pool table. for
Thank
the-
you. Okay.
Seconding
Just-
approves discussion.
Yeah, just,
We've used other providers of covers and other kinds of covers, and these guys are basically, there's only two providers, I think, right, Kevin?
There's a couple of providers. These guys are pretty reliable and they work with you on.
And their stuff holds up.
It's possible that we could get it a little bit cheaper. The question is how much staff time is going to go into that.
Yeah,
So-
because the difference would be negligible, less than $500, I would say,
Yeah.
based on previous quotes.
That sounds about right.
So
Yeah.
how old is this pool cover?
I believe this one is, I want to say 3 years. They usually last somewhere between 3 and 5 years, depending on a lot of different conditions.
It was quite a while ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
They're in the sun and chlorine. and
Right, yeah, I
salt.
know.
mean,
They're out in the elements
Right.
essentially.
So the
Yeah.
benefit of using this vendor is that we're getting the same pool covers that we've had. So we know it's a reliable product. We could go with a different vendor, but we wouldn't necessarily know the quality of their work. I mean, we could try it certainly if that's the board's desire.
If there's a way to just get just like one more quote, because you said.
But I remember from the last vendor, what happened to their pool covers is that the bottommost layer shredded off and separated from the rest of the cover, clogging our filter, intakes. It was a black bottom cover like these two, but I remember it coming apart, delaminating, and so the materials these guys use have never done that. They always eventually tear from flexion and the UV and the chlorine. Pools are death on almost everything.
Right.
Eventually, because of the chlorine and.
Right,
and
and they're out in the
UV.
sun and they're out outside
UV
and generally,
chlorine are
yeah.
the two things that kill them.
So with this is that it's a known quantity. If we go to a different one, can we find a cheaper pool cover?
Right, but you don't know what the quality would be.
Right.
You
And
guys
we've
know
tried.
that. So this doesn't include also, like, you guys roll out the pool cover, correct?
Yes, we do. Yes.
So this would just be the pool cover itself?
Just
not-
the cover, not the reel. It's a super crazy. What's happening is that there's a tear along one of them, and so at some point it's going to separate, and we'll have a kind of a partial piece of pool cover.
So do you know how long it would take to have this delivered?
A couple months. That's why we're doing it.
Oh,
right.
okay.
Yeah. So pool stuff, especially pool stuff like pool covers, is custom. It's all
Right.
Custom.
Especially that the shape of that pool is not, it's weird, yeah.
So, but this is the long cover, so at least it's rectangles, but it
Uh-huh.
usually does take them a couple months. They've got to fabricate it, then they have to ship it the cheapest method possible, and then eventually we get these giant pallets and
Because they have to be custom made,
they
right?
do, they have to be
Right.
custom made.
And it comes from Concord, so, or I guess that's where they're
No.
headquartered is. Where's the manufacturing?
It's manufactured somewhere else.
Okay.
The people in Concord is Lincoln. Lincoln is the distributor.
Oh, okay.
So yes, they take a cut as well, so.
Right,
you know,
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's
Okay,
just approve it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll make the motion.
No,
We
you've
already
done
have a
that.
motion.
Now I will call the question.
Okay.
We make a motion,
Madam
we second
President,
it, we
okay,
discuss,
Okay.
and then we approve or not. Calling the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, hey, look at that.
We need a voice. We
Okay.
usually need a voice
You need
vote. Aye.
We did. We raised our hand.
Yeah, but we
Everybody raise their
usually had a
hand.
voice.
Okay, aye.
Aye,
Thank you.
Aye.
and then there's no question.
Okay. Okay, our staff is going to tell us about our opening season
All
plan.
right, so some of you may know Emily.
Hi,
She's-
Emily. I see you at the meeting. I don't think I was ever formally
Yeah,
introduced
I'm
to
nice
you.
So she is going to be, that's forward, you got it.
Hi, I'm Emily. A coworker and I have been working with Sunny, Kevin, and Jay on a season opening event happening Memorial Day, May 27th on that Monday. This was approved, I think, July 2018, and it was like motioned or something by Julie, based on going over our event plan, how we plan on marketing it, and our cost breakdown. So our overview are, we'll be having from 12 to 6 free public swim for Rancho residents, along with an open house. We'll be having Kona-shaped ice here, and we'll have different fun kid activities throughout the day. So our open house, I know this will address a lot of your concerns. We'll have a presentation, kind of like these display boards on all our current running programs, along with a suggestion box for anything the community feels like they want, whether it's we want more lap swim hours, we want yoga, we want more flexible lesson times, whatever they want, we'll take that, whatever demand we get the most, we'll start working on implementing those things. We'll also be having a sign up for a monthly email list. This will be a little more frequent than our mailers, also a lot cheaper, and it will be more directed towards people who want Rancho updates, not just for the board, but for our whole facility.
And these would also include people who don't, I guess, there'd be people who are already using the facility, but if someone came here and they're like, oh, I want to be on the mailing list,
Yeah,
They can
exactly.
also
So
do
they're
that,
like, oh yeah, this seems cool. I'll just get a monthly email.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then we'll also have free beverages and snacks kind of in the kitchen area. And then we'll be having different vendors and fun activities throughout the day. So we'll be having one of our staff members during the 15 minutes of adult swim, put on little kid activities like a water balloon toss, basketball free throw, maybe a scavenger hunt, kid-friendly competitive activities. So the kids are parents swimming in the pool for 15 minutes.
or wanting to grab their phone.
They spend their parents' money on ice cream.
Right.
Um,
Well, I heard that shade.
yes.
So I have a question. Have you guys ever thought about maybe doing a contest, I don't know, try to do
Yeah.
outreach, get a free swim pass or
Oh, that's exactly what we're doing.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Because I figured that'd be a good
Yeah,
good time to
so
do
we'll
it. So
either you can win candy or free public swim pass, whatever appeals more to the kids. I know one appeals more to the parents, but and then our vendors from 1 to 3 will be having a balloon animal artist here. From 2 to 4 we'll be having a face painter here. From 2:30 to 3:30 we'll be having Kona-shaped ice kind of in those 2 employee spots over there. And then from 3 to 5 we'll be having a glitter tattoo artist here. We try to put the messier ones later in the day so kids aren't hopping in the pool with the body full of glitter and just clogging.
that'd be bad for the filter.
Exactly, yeah.
Can I mention one thing about the basketball free
Oh,
throw?
yeah, those are just ideas.
The basketball, I don't know, if you're gonna do it out there,
Yeah, in the hoops.
that's kind of a dangerous situation. It's been that way for a long time. In fact, we were driving on Bollinger, and this ball came out and banged into the window. It was and you were driving, do you remember that?
I do remember that, yeah.
And I've asked, I think, and Julie, our former board member, asked too, that a net or something be put up there as a precautionary
Yeah, I agree. I don't know if I would
solution.
be the right
So,
person to
and
talk
then
about
this
that,
is, I witnessed this 3 times and nothing was ever done about it.
we don't have to do basketball. There's just
So
ideas.
basketball things should kind of,
It was just ideas. None of these are set in
I
stone.
can't hear you, I'm
None of
sorry.
these are set in stone. These are ideas. Yeah. Especially the fun events things, those are very like.
Well, you should
changed.
check into that basketball free throw.
Okay. And then our marketing, we want to use a Nextdoor event, a Facebook event, our bulletin, our website, and we're going to send out a mailer. This is a sample one. I'm not sure it'll look
Oh, that's,
exactly
yeah,
like this.
that's a cute draft.
Yeah.
Question though about if you can go back to the previous slide there. So bulletin, do you mean just like the bulletin board out there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because like this is a Rancho resident event, so we don't just want like random people from other neighborhoods coming in.
But people who actually use the pool who are not Rancho residents, would they be invited? So for example, someone who uses, say, the swim camp, but is not necessarily a resident, they would be able to come, correct? Because they're already a customer, I assume.
You would have to ask Kevin about that.
Yeah, it's open to everyone, but of course, we would be targeting.
Right, the residents,
Yeah,
the community,
That's who we want.
the outreach, correct, okay. Thank you.
Can we go back to the marketing, the
Oh, yeah.
previous slide? So, if, Nextdoor or Facebook, especially Facebook and the website. And exactly what was the bulletin going to be again?
The bulletin is, we have like a bulletin board outside.
Or the bulletin board outside, okay. So those three,
Mhm.
the Facebook event, the bulletin board website, cater to people who already know about the center, who already go to the website, who come to the center, see the bulletin board, and who are already subscribed to the Facebook page of the center.
Well, Facebook, we can boost our events, so it'll show up on people's feeds, not even like people who like our page or whatever, it'll be put onto different people's feeds in this area.
So I'm just pointing out the 3 of the 5
Mhm.
are only, I mean, we should assume that they're only available
Do you
people
know,
who already know about it.
I'll take suggestions, do you know?
I was gonna get to that, hold on.
Yeah.
So I would say the Nextdoor event, again, is also not necessarily very comprehensive because only some people are on
Yeah.
Nextdoor, not
I
everybody.
agree.
The mailer I like very much because it actually goes to everybody's house in the area. How about, something a little different this time, such as, because, people have not been outreached
I
to,
agree.
which is why you only have 3 candidates for the board, or which you only have 20% of people from this community who pay $500 who use the pool. I mean, those are serious facts that
Yeah.
we should take into consideration.
So two,
How about actually going door to door, letting them know that we exist?
okay.
I mean, come up with something that actually talks to people. I mean, it's only 400 houses.
It's actually, 1,200, over 1,200.
And Lori's in it too, so it may be 1,500.
Okay,
And
but
they actually
it's not-
used
I'll
to
take
walk,
into account, yeah.
yeah, they used to walk around the neighborhoods. We used to have a Rancho Rinconada Homeowners Association, but it was dissolved pretty much after we annexed because we didn't think that there was any need for it. And the pool kind of took over that historical as the center of the neighborhood. So we had a very, very active homeowners association, which actually was the one that pushed for the annexation from the county. And it kind of dissolved after we came into the city. So the pool has become kind of the de facto center, but they used to walk the neighborhoods too.
So that can be revived, it can be done.
Pat used to do
Pat
that.
used to
Pat
do
would
it.
walk.
I think that needs to be, thought about as to, how doable is it, how many people would it need, what would actually mean to actually talk to people who live here. I really question number 2, 3, 4 because it caters to people who already know about this place, and that's not what we're trying to do, I assume, by an open house.
I agree.
To be really open, I think we should do door to door, figure out who else can do it if the staff can't do it, for example, that might be worth more money than anything else, and
Are you
Other
talking
thing-
about having a flyer and just
No, like
take,
having people go door to door and like
talking
knocking
to
and
people,
talking
let them.
yeah,
know
with
that
a
would be
flyer
good, yeah.
maybe?
Sometimes, yeah, a flyer, but if somebody has to give the
Yeah,
flyer, otherwise, if you
personal.
just leave it at the door.
Yeah.
Most people. throw
We
it.
did that during our campaign.
Yeah, so it can be done. There are many ways of doing it. You just need to spend some time.
Sure, we can look into that.
You
yeah.
need to figure it, think it's important and do it. The second thing is that, one of the many issues that, many people have brought up, including myself, is that, this doesn't have to be only a swimming pool.
No, that's why we have the suggestion box for programs that people want.
I saw that, you're gonna ask what do you want, and then whatever people say, the most popular ones, you're gonna work on it.
Yeah.
That's great, but I think that, this center has a paid staff, this center gets $500,000. If the owner should not be on people to say, why did you do that or this,
Well,
it's great, do take suggestions, can I please finish?
Okay.
This is not an inquisition, I'm giving a suggestion here, don't, just please take it and then you can respond, okay? So, I think then you all can come up with some ideas, do some homework. They're just saying, here's a suggestion box, just drop your ideas there. That is not very welcoming. It doesn't seem like somebody that can put some thought into things, that you actually want something from people. I mean, it just doesn't feel very welcoming when people say, you have an idea, go put it there. Or as I was told about the board members here, you have an idea, you do it yourself. You run for office, you do that, you're on the board right now, you do it. Anyway, so I think that's a lazy way of doing it.
Can I give you my reasoning for why?
Yes,
it's suggestion?
please.
It's because if we come up with ideas, like sure, some of the community will agree with it, but this is a way for us to get direct feedback on what they actually want, so we're not just like guessing what they want, and then them being like, oh yeah, that sounds okay. Like we want to know what exact programs that they really, really want. So say they want like a weekend yoga class that's like run out of our facility, that way we know like, okay, they want this on this time, great. So we're not just being like, okay, we can do yoga on a Monday and then no one shows up. Does that?
Actually, I happen to know that there are yoga classes here, but a commercial vendor
That's what I'm saying.
who rents the space and does it, yeah. So, all I'm saying is that I think it can be happy medium. You have to take people's suggestions, of course, but I think it seems more real to people, more meaningful to people, and you've done some homework. You've done some. You put some, when it appears to them that you put some thought into it, then they'll respond. Right? That's real democracy is when you say, okay, tell me whatever you want, and then I have a suggestion box that I open once in 6 months or never. You know what I mean? We don't know when you're gonna have a suggestion box. So I think there has to be some proof shown in the way that this idea is done, that we've thought about this. We can do this. What do you think about this? What do you think about this? Right? So there needs to be some proof of evidence of that we actually want you guys to use this space. Not tell us what you want and 6 months down the line, slowly we'll work on it or whatever, right? Yeah. So it needs to be happy medium.
Okay, so our cost breakdown. So our marketing will be about $700. These are all estimates because things cost differently, especially if we wait to pay for all of these things, they get more expensive. Our snacks will be about $100. That might be a little less, a little more, depending on what we buy and when we buy them. Our vendors will be about $1,000 to $2,600. The reason there's such a varying cost right there is if there's a high demand for Kona shaved ice, we have it in our budget to already pay them for that extra hour in case they have to stay for an extra hour. And if there is a high demand for cones, we'll be able to pay them for those extra cones. That wasn't already covered in the initial
The staff
cost.
for one day is going to cost almost.
I'm gonna get into that.
Okay.
So, reason our staff is that expensive is one is because it's holiday pay, and we'll be having 5 lifeguards. So if we hit capacity, we're fully prepared and we're not gonna break any martial codes. And then we'll be having an office staff, an open house staff, and then a flex staff. So if the office gets busy or the open house gets busy, if nothing really gets busy, they'll be the ones running those 15-minute activities, kind of going wherever we need them the most. And they'll be the ones also helping set up the vendors every 2 hours when they can roll in. So our total cost we're looking at is about $4,400 up to $5,000 if Kona shaved ice has to stay here for an extra amount of time, or they need to be paid for extra cones.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Can you explain the vendors part to me? We have to pay them when they go. We will give them a chance to make money. You have to pay them.
So we pay them. So the Kona shaved ice is free. So that's kind of one of the big selling points for the event for the community is that it's free public swim, a free open house, and then a free shaved ice ban. So we're paying them for the amount of cones. I think we're paying for 100 cones.
So that's actually food expenses. That's not really.
Well, they're
vendors.
under vendors as an umbrella. So it's Kona shaved ice along with our face painters, our balloon artists, and our glitter tattoos.
So all those activities are going to be free.
Yeah, it's gonna be free for the people who come here, but it's not gonna be free for us.
Of course. So okay.
Can you have, another thing when you were talking about the vendors, can you guys have food trucks, taco trucks or?
So we were gonna look,
We looked into taco trucks, but we're trying to stay within
Oh,
our
and
So
also if we're vegetarian or vegan,
Yeah.
so here's a tortilla and a couple of vegetables.
yeah.
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 There you go on a
tortilla. But that was in,
But the other thing to keep in mind, your idea of vendor trucks, in addition to this, if they want to park somewhere.
Kona shaved ice is looking in the two.
Have enough space for
I
They
say that
can
means
park Wonderlic, but they can't park here and they can't park in.
not a shuttle bus.
It's kind of asking, can we have the event on a Saturday, regular Saturday, which is actually kind of a working day rather than a special holiday? Because that does seem like a lot of money just on staffing costs for events
I
like
can
that.
answer that. So this was a proposal that was okayed in July. It was proposed by former board member Julie Jervis. So this has already been approved.
Because we've done it in the
With an
past.
explicit budget, and regardless of whether this event happens, we're still gonna be paying most of that staff cost to open on Memorial Day, as well as July 4th and Labor Day. So this was a board directive to open for public swim, so most of those staff costs are going to be paid out whether this event happens or not.
So that day the pool is open anyway?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then why is that cost counted as part of this event?
Because it's part of the event cost, regardless of.
But if they're gonna be there anyway, if they're gonna be
We're
paid
turning
anyway, then it's
Memorial
no
Day
longer
into
the-
this event, so that's what we're doing. So if this event doesn't happen, it'll just be a normal public swim, but if this event does go through, then
Then it'll.
be,
We don't wanna discount any costs and have someone come back and say you're trying to hide costs. No, it's all there.
That's what it costs, essentially, just to have the pool open on a holiday and have it be full is how much staff costs, 2,400 around?
It was in the original report, I believe, when this was passed, is that it would cost this much just to
Yeah.
stay open. So, it's a little bit more because there's some planning costs in there, and then also some of the time used to contact the vendors and coordinate with them. So it's a little bit more, but it's more or less, it's gonna be about $2,000 to open.
So anytime we're open on a holiday, we lose money no matter how many people pay admission, because we never take in $2,000.
Even regular days, I think we don't really come up.
Yeah.
Do you think this is a good idea to have it on a holiday or to have it,
Well, that's what the
reason
board
I think it
decided.
would be good is because,
because people go away on
no,
a
I
holiday.
agree, but I think a good reason for it is a lot of kids on like Saturday, Sunday have classes. If you ever drive by Tino in the morning on a Saturday morning, it's just packed full of like, I think it's like Chinese and Korean schools. So Monday kids have school off, and then if they don't travel, this would be great. It's also kind of like, hey, you don't have plans for Memorial Day? Come to Rancho. Like, we have free public swim, we'll have shaved ice, it'll be a fun time.
That was also approved by the board too, so I mean, it's.
For Memorial Day weekend.
Yep.
Okay.
That's it.
Well, I appreciate this because in the past, when we've approved it, the many times we've approved it, I don't think we ever saw the costs laid out to see how expensive it is. And
I thought we were supposed to be closed on holidays. This wasn't one of the days that we were gonna be closed.
So, we'd have to check to the July minutes of last year
What?
to see who voted for it, but it was all.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'm not disputing anything, okay? I'm just saying, I thought we were supposed to be closed because business wasn't that good on holidays. So we just decided, yeah, we aren't gonna be open on
Right, but
holidays.
Julie had said that we need to be doing more for the residents, and she wanted to do the open house, she wanted more outreach, so this
Right.
was her plan to do that.
Yeah.
So,
because we hadn't done this in a couple of years.
Well, it will either be a success or it won't. And
Right.
you don't have to spend money if it isn't a success, right? It will
Well,
just be
You know,
in that little bank somewhere. You can spend it on something
Well,
else.
Speaking of which, how would you measure success of this event?
we'll,
So-
yeah.
What we're doing is we'll put it when we advertise it that we want them to come through the office like normal public swim where we give them a wristband. They won't have to pay, but if we can get everyone to have a wristband, we can keep track of who's coming, how people come throughout the day, and then also it'll be a good way for when they get shaved ice that we can like mark their wristband so we can see how many people actually go to the shaved ice fan.
And the number of residents.
Yeah, and the number of residents, so like
Yeah, so I was gonna add that I think it's important to track how many residents versus
no, yeah, I agree,
residents have come.
yeah.
And also, I think all the activities, I'm sure it's all a lot of fun, but again, they're all geared towards kids who might potentially use the pool. I really think that more attention should also be paid to adults in the community,
Well, the thing
who
is
might
though,
use the
it's like,
pool for whatever reasons,
it's
whatever
like,
purpose.
we already have the hall doing the open house, so like there's not really much other space for where you could do like an adult unless you have any other ideas, I'd be very willing to.
No,
But they can
you all,
do swimming,
you all,
right?
you all can come
Okay.
up with something, I'm sure.
And plus they'll have the information about the programs and the
Yeah, exactly.
board and all the
Just
other
like work
things
for
too.
each of our running programs.
But you know what I'm saying, it's not about swimming, what I'm saying is that there are adults,
Yeah, I agree.
many adults in the world
Okay,
do other
thank you.
things than swimming. We all know that, so, yeah.
Yeah, my understanding would be attraction of this center, so lot of adults I see in YMCA and other area, they participate, like get trained and whatnot. So I think that's our leverage. Maybe we advertise that for adults that, hey, it's a great place to learn swimming and get there. I don't know how many adults we have enrolled to get trained on swimming, but I see that those are swimming centers. Maybe we can also attract.
Yeah, that'll be part of our open house. So board will be very explicitly putting that we swim lessons for anyone who's over the age of senior.
So very briefly, tried to do an adult class. We actually did it for free.
Nice.
No one came.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Maybe we need to look into the
But we do
messaging.
have
I see in
adults-
YMCA a lot of adults.
We do have adults who sign up for
We have a
one-on-one
couple,
lessons, yeah.
but we wanted to increase it. We wanted to do kind of like a,
Did they know about it though? I mean,
so that's
what
the
was
other
the
thing.
outreach
Yeah,
about
so
it?
I think that back then our outreach was not as sophisticated as it is now. We didn't have mailers back then, and our Facebook was just starting out at the time. That was the same time that we started our baby class, which did get a lot of interest. But again, we can try it again. And the objective was to do like a free class where an adult could come in, try it out, see if they like it, and then hopefully go to a private lesson.
Yeah.
It's a big commitment to start to learn how to swim when you're an adult. It's very difficult. So.
But it's
Very
fun to
difficult,
watch.
but I've done the YMCA.
Oh, we do
and
it. We do it all the
It
time.
was full.
but-
Both the YMCAs
Oh, yeah.
are close to this area are
Yeah.
full of adult immigrants
Sure.
who did not necessarily learn swimming as children.
Sure.
So if there was more outreach and you knew who lived here, you would know that about them, that many of these immigrants are learning swimming as adults.
Absolutely.
So I'm just saying, maybe there was no outreach or I don't know, minimal outreach, and that needs to be fixed first. I mean, it seems like this is a done deal, so it looks like it can be changed. But honestly, I'm a little distressed to see $4,800 being spent on reaching out for swimming alone again. I think more person-to-person reach out in the community
So-
is of priority, and I don't see
The
that
reason why we're
happening.
having other vendors that aren't surrounding around swimming is that we want to attract other families. I do agree that it's more kid-based. So that they can come to our facility, kind of see what's up, and then I do agree it's kid-based, but that is our big
And
clientele.
you also, we have in the past looked at, I almost had my engagement party here.
We have a wedding happening on
You
Saturday.
have a large, lovely facility here that you can rent.
Yeah.
And there's a kitchen unit, you can rent the park out here. Believe me, I've checked out all parts of it. And that is, believe me, nowadays, finding something like this available. When I was planning my wedding 18 years ago, everything in Cupertino was booked up. Quinlan was booked up, Senior Center was booked up, the city council chambers that had just been opened were booked up. And I came and checked in Rancho, but it wasn't big enough. So, I'm just saying, I think that that's a great selling point for this property.
For sure. If you have any ideas on adult sort of events that we can bring people in, we're all ears. Like you said, none of this is set in stone. This is the plan as it currently
Can you
exists.
put out literature at the time of your open house about the size of the facilities, what parts?
So
of this
one of our
that
display
can
boards is
be-
about rentals and that type of
Okay.
thing, so it'll have like all that.
I remember years ago, we used to have weddings here, Christmas parties here, and that all seemed to
We're having a
dissipate for
wedding
some
on
reason.
Saturday, actually.
It's still happening.
All
It's
right.
still happening.
It's just a little more rare because people who live here, it's also the cost of living has gone up, and then people who live here tend to be a little richer, so I feel like having a wedding at Rancho for a lot of people is like, there's a pool right there.
No, there are a lot, but activities also gone up in the society, so they may be not wedding, but smaller scale.
Yeah, smaller scale activities. Anyways, if you have any more questions or suggestions about that, let me know.
Yeah, if you want to get in contact with Emily, you can send an contact at Rancho attention, Memorial Day event.
I'll respond to it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Marie.
And the other thing is too, I've noticed this, that people could actually rent parts of this if you wanted to have like a meeting. Let's say you had a family reunion, or you had a small meeting to play chess, or you have like an interest group. You can actually set that up. Can you do that kind
Yeah,
of
we
thing.
have people who do that. We have,
Well, that yoga class, I guess, would kind of be considered that.
Yeah.
The private kind of meetup.
Well, I mean,
type
if
thing.
I wanted to, like, if I had like a one-time special, a girls' afternoon together or
it
something.
happens all the
okay,
time.
You can
Yeah.
actually rent part of it, like tables or something.
Sure.
like that. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Yes.
Now, I have a last comment I'll send in the email. I think we should focus on renting out this for as much we can. The
Yes.
reason is when people come in for
Mm.
renting out, that's when you can cost much.
Advertising.
That you
yes.
can, did you know that your kids can also, sign up for that? I think that will save a lot of money in terms of marketing because, there are a lot of foot traffic coming in.
Right.
You can also, it will have a ripple effect to get more students in the swimming school.
So the board actually, within the last 2 years, lowered the price of the rental hall for that exact reason.
Got it.
Yeah.
And one last question, do you know what is the occupancy rate of this hall? Like-
Yes,
It's
Yes,
spread
right
over.
there, yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
depending on whether you're sitting or assembling.
Yeah.
It's a different number. I've used this hall twice for charity auctions to raise scholarship funds over the years and for memorial service for a relative who grew up in this area. And I'm not alone. There have been many other auctions here. They weren't charity ones, but to my knowledge. But memorial services, we had a memorial service here about 10 years ago for an ex-board member who passed away. So people use it for a lot of different things. We have tables and we have chairs, so.
Yes.
I didn't mean to ask for capacity, I mean to ask what percent of the time in 365 days it's vacant, nobody's using it?
Oh, most of the time it's vacant. It's usually used for the most part on the weekend.
Okay.
Other than that, yoga uses it more on the weekday, and then of course Little Dragon. But there's so much availability, particularly during weekdays.
Yeah.
Okay, so that means there is a good opportunity to.
Absolutely. So there's something that I want to bring to the board
Yeah.
at some point once we can actually, these agendas are too long, so I've been holding off on it. But there's an app called Space Base, which rents out the hall and it makes it available for meetings, things like that, and you can set the times. It's something that I do want to bring forward, but obviously our meetings are already pretty long. So
Yeah.
once we have our 5th board member and business starts going through, then we can start putting in more productive items like that so we can have more use of the hall.
So I got a question. So, this place is open from 3 to 7 and then in the morning for lap swim from 7 to 9 a.m. Could someone actually potentially rent out this place outside of those hours or would it have to be?
Yeah.
Okay.
100%, and
All
they
right.
do all the time.
That's
Okay.
usually
Yeah.
when they do.
Yeah, I figured because it's in the middle of the day. So I figured that,
Yeah.
someone could have a luncheon or, something like that.
The weekdays, usually people don't. The ones who do is generally some kind of like a seminar
Or classes.
or,
Painting
classes.
classes. I
Yeah.
remember the painting classes that
Yes,
used to be.
Oh, okay.
We had the ICC, the India Community Center here during the day briefly, and we've been kind of negotiating on and off with, there's another senior center, but there's something always doesn't work. So we try.
Yeah.
So,
No, I'm gonna keep this in mind if we have another family reunion,
oh yeah.
because, we usually have them in Virginia,
Mm.
but we have more relatives out here, and they normally have to have a hall, so that you have like a dinner, and then you put the photos out and everything. So I think I'm gonna keep that in mind then, because
Yeah.
we've been looking, it's really hard to find facilities
Right.
that aren't like at some really fancy hotel.
Yeah.
And they're super expensive.
Well, they're very personal too.
Yes, yeah. The one that's really popular actually is our barbecue rentals, and they have all the kids and family reunions with our
They
barbecue.
can rent out the pool,
We
right?
use it during public swim.
Oh, okay.
Very
That works
popular,
out.
yeah.
Okay.
That
So you just
one's-
pay per person.
Yeah, it's
privately,
very
okay.
inexpensive. It
Yeah.
works. Kids love it. Parents love it because the kids are occupied,
Right.
safe. So, yeah.
Okay.
But yes, send any suggestions to us. We'll definitely make any adjustments before the event.
All right. You're concluded then? Thank you. Now we want to move into 5D, review and approve alternate landscaping chemical treatment. So you've gotten a couple other bids.
your recommendations?
Does that mean that we're not gonna use Pentalon anymore?
We signed
No,
a
that's
year-long
not what it
contract.
means.
Oh, okay, it's just somebody that's gonna come in for like,
She asked for other bids if you were
Right, I
there
remember
day.
that. I
Yeah,
asked for other
so-
bids, and I also asked too, what would happen if, since you guys did a year, long contract, what would happen if we want something else and all that stuff, so I just want all the
Oh,
information.
you know what? I forgot about that part of it.
Okay.
I just got the bids.
Okay, because.
Are
Is
you,
this-
It would be in the contract.
are you looking to break the contract? Because,
no, I'm just asking, you have 3 different bids, what are the bids for?
Same thing, I think.
yeah, landscaping, chemical-free landscaping. We don't know how well they're going to do.
Okay, so in other words, if we chose somebody else
Yeah.
other than Pentalon, that
Sure.
we would be changing landscaping people.
Right, but the issue we had at the last meeting was there was a contract that was actually signed.
Yes.
So what would it be if we broke that agreement? What would happen? Would we have to, do a payout or whatever? And,
Yeah,
I guess we don't know.
I don't know the answer to that. But, for me, I don't particularly like changing contractors willy-nilly. I think that in the beginning, when you have a new contractor, there's bound to be some glitches, some
growing
things-
pains?
Some growing pains, and, they forgot to
Weren't they a
send.
lot cheaper than $8.95?
They are, but that's
That's
if we
what it
wanted to
is.
do a manual weeding only.
Right.
Well,
Right.
I don't think anyone needs to do manual weeding.
What do you think they should do?
Well, I think in the summertime, there's not even gonna be any mowing because a lot of this stuff is weeds around here anyway, and you just mow them. Like, there are many houses in the neighborhood that have beautiful green weeds right now, which in the summertime are gonna be beautiful brown weeds unless somebody hires their own person to do
Okay,
that.
so first
Anyway,
we
I'm
need
not
a
finished yet.
motion.
So
to
anyway, why
decide
don't we
if-
just go back to what their original price was? Because, they're
'Cause
not
you
gonna
didn't
come
like
here and
that.
pull weeds. Nobody's gonna be watching if they pull weeds.
Doing
And
this
also,
because
there's
you
a Roundup that's not poisonous, that's acceptable to use. And so that's what they should be using.
So,
I'm not voting for that.
the contract from the last meeting, which I didn't print because we were talking about a manual weeding only one. That one had alternative organic chemicals that you could use.
Right,
So if you wanted to look at that list and make sure that that's acceptable to you, we could look at it again next month.
right. And then we wouldn't be paying them $8.95. We would be paying
I
them
think it
the
was
5 or something.
No, it was like $8.25 if I
Yeah.
remember.
It was
It
more than the
yeah.
original contract anyway.
What,
was,
what we learned from the other 2 quotes, I think, is that Pentalon's not,
Too
exorbitant.
unreasonable,
It's not
right?
too-
reasonable.
Yeah, right,
So
yeah.
so breaking a contract with the
Maybe we can
cost
have
of
a
doing
motion.
stuff isn't worth it to
Right.
save only, less than $100.
And we don't know how these guys are gonna do either, so.
Yeah, we need to give them a chance.
Maybe we could have a motion.
Did they,
I mean, that's
did
what this
they,
is about.
the original thing they presented, it wasn't 895, what was it?
$675.
Exactly, why can't we just go back
That
to,
was the roundup that you didn't like.
okay,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
what about the Roundup that we will like? How much is that gonna be?
The one with the organic chemicals, that one is I believe $8.25. But I would ask that you actually read over the full contract and
Yeah.
make sure that those are the roundups that are okay before.
Well, I wouldn't know, somebody that knows about chemicals would know, I don't.
Then what are you gonna vote on?
It sounds like we're putting it off.
Well,
for another month.
sometimes,
Well, we
somebody
haven't made a
needs to
motion to
find
even
out,
talk
why
about
don't
it.
you ask them which chemicals are okay? And
It
then we
was
can
in the
choose one, and you
contract.
can suggest the most inexpensive one, all
I'm
right?
not voting for
You're
that
the
anyway.
manager, you can manage it.
So a question about the whole Bensalon thing.
Yeah.
So the contract is from 1 to 1, it's a yearly one, I take it? You guys sign a 6 months or 12 months?
I'd really like to see a motion on the table before we're discussing things. Can we at least follow parliamentary
yell.
procedure?
All right.
You're hurting my ear.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I move to decide on one of these 3 contractors, so we have a motion.
It has to be more specific.
It has to be more specific, okay.
Well, the
I
750
move
one
to
is, sounds
continue contract with Pentalon at this point with the Roundup, because I don't care. Or or actually,
You want
because
the-
you do care
The original contract, is that what you're?
with the original contract.
Motion,
Right?
that's a different contract.
No, that's this one, 895, right?
Okay,
Yeah,
which
that's
one are
fine.
you
But that's
approving?
different
That's
from the
not the original
original one,
contract,
right?
yeah,
The original one was 675 or
Okay.
something.
Okay.
What,
All right, let's
what's the
do that
motion?
and worry about the chemicals some other times.
But that's part of the,
Wait, can we get the motion?
All right, so,
Do we have a second?
so the bid is to continue with
There's not
Petalon
that many
without
weeds around here
Roundup,
that can't be
with
mowed.
their alternate,
They don't
which
have to
was,
be
I believe, about 825.
It was something like, so you're saying do 825 or no?
Do the 825 one that isn't pulling weeds by hand, it's using some non-Roundup crap to kill weeds.
Okay, so the,
So we can
alternate
discuss it.
landscaping, chemical treatment,
Yes.
what do you call, contract, are you willing, okay, that's what's up. Is there a second?
And how much would
To
that be?
discuss it.
We need a
825?
second so we can discuss it.
I second to discuss it.
All right.
Thank you.
That's always what, whenever you
How
second, it's always a
done
discussion.
in
It
a
always is.
Parliamentary procedure.
Okay, so my question was, in terms of this Pentalon contract, was it a 601 or a yearly one? And it's annual, so is it from January to December? When did you guys actually?
It's January to December.
Okay.
Yeah. So, or I think it's like the second week of January through the second week
We
of
go-
January.
okay,
Yeah,
gotcha,
it's-
gotcha.
But, so what's happening right now is that they're not doing any weed control at all at this point. So we could continue on 675 with no weed control whatsoever. That's a decision that the board can make.
But they mow them, all the weeds are mowable.
Sure.
Well,
Well,
Yeah,
there's
they
the
are.
xeriscape
No.
too, right? So
Huh?
the xeriscape, for example,
The
they
what?
don't
They
mow
get
xeriscape.
weeds.
yeah, you
With
know,
the,
All
The
the
rocks.
ones in the lawn
The
parks,
rocks.
you can mow them.
right. But
What about
you
the
They
can't
don't
mow
have to be
xeriscape.
pulled
what
or
about the rock?
treated or anything. The only place out here, maybe some weeds might come up, is right under this window.
Well, and
No.
the xeriscape
Rocks.
at the edge.
The what?
The
Rocks.
xeriscape.
Everywhere there isn't lawn, weeds come up.
The
And that's half
lawn
of our
is
landscape.
weeds.
Okay, we
Half of the
covered that
lawn
part.
is
He's talking about
weeds.
every other place.
Where is the other place?
It's the parking lot island.
Tho-
the xeriscape.
That's all covered with mulch.
Right, but
There's not that
eventually
many
weeds are
weeds
gonna go
there.
through.
There's not that many
The weeds
weeds.
come up.
Somebody
Yeah.
either sprays them or pulls
It's not
them.
worth
What's it gonna be?
$300 a month.
So then they're gonna
There's
spray 'em.
not that many,
Then they're
there's
gonna
not that
spray 'em.
many.
So what?
There's no weeds that are gonna come up in the summertime, what you don't seem to understand. They'll all be gone by June.
They come
And
back.
there's no oxalis out there, believe me, I see that every day. I'm the one that actually was concerned about it dying, and Steve said he hoped it all would die. And so maybe we won't have to spray, because maybe all the weeds will die.
So
I
sooner
learned how
or
to make a
later.
joke again.
I'm not voting for 895 or 825, I'll vote for the original 675.
With
And we'll just worry about the
That's
weeds
not what we're voting. on.
afterwards.
It's not the motion.
That's
but I
not
can
the
amend my
motion.
motion.
We'll have
Well,
to wait until she comes back to vote.
Okay.
So we're not voting for it either.
So basically, you think there aren't gonna be any,
That's
Weeds
right,
coming
that's
up.
what I think. And I think any green thing out there can be mowed. In fact, there's very little mowing anyway.
but we can't mow mulch.
Well, you don't have to,
You
there's
do for
no
the
weeds.
weed. If-
You know
if
what?
you're
There were no
prescribing-
weeds that came up last year or the year before, ever since that mulch has been there, okay? Everything, there's nothing coming up in the summertime. I'm a gardener, I know, both my backyard and front yard are right now full of oxalis, which I am pulling up daily. But in the summertime, it will all be gone away. And I won't be pulling any weeds at all in the summertime. So
This is an
I don't
annual
think it's worth
contract.
$300.
Okay, we're calling the question on the motion that is approving an alternate landscaping chemical treatment. I believe you said for $820.
Yeah, more or less.
Okay, all in favor of that?
So this would be using the non-chemical.
No, supposedly
Well, no,
non-toxic.
Oh, it would be no chemical, they wouldn't just do the weeds.
No.
It's a non-toxic.
Well,
Non-Roundup.
it's toxic, but it's
Yeah, it's
supposedly
toxic.
organic, less.
It
not
kills
Roundup.
things.
Okay.
We
It kills
don't need
things.
any weed killer, period, here.
Well, that's what the 675 gets you, is the weed
Well, the
killer.
675 is
Gets you
reasonable.
Roundup.
No, it doesn't get us anything,
That's
because
why
we'll
we're
tell them,
here.
we don't want them to use
I
Roundup.
think we did.
You think you do?
No, I think that was the problem, was I guess it was in November.
You can tell
that-
them, don't use Roundup. Don't use weed killer, period, and we'll pay them whatever it is. So
All right,
the
so
original
that motion didn't
675.
pass.
They don't have to use weed killer. You can say,
call
look,
a
we don't want any
I already
weed
did,
killer on our
and
property,
Yours is the
period.
only
We're
item.
gonna pay you a
So-
flat fee.
Okay, this
No
motion
weed
did not
killer.
pass, don't worry about
Okay,
it.
then I'll make a new motion
Yes.
for paying
$675.
for paying Petalon, I believe it was $675, not to do any weeding,
No weed killer.
no weeding at all, just
Okay.
mowing lawns and
Just
blowing
mow 'em
shit
down.
around. You know.
And I guess, yeah, it would be manually pulled. It would
There's
just,
nothing.
there's nothing. It would just be
Since
the.
Sandra says there are no weeds other than
Yeah,
in the
Sandra says there's
lawns,
no weed, so we don't have to worry
Right.
about it.
which I think she's
Exactly.
wrong about, but hey, I'm willing
If you
to.
find weeds, Steve, I think you should report it. Report any weeds.
Well, we can count on you.
Yeah, you can count on me.
Count on you
I
to
can
bitch
pull
about it.
them because I go by here
Well,
every
then
day.
Do
Well,
it.
that's fine.
Hey,
But
do
you
it.
wouldn't want me
Oh,
around
except
here
you can't.
because of
you can't
workers'
volunteer.
compensation.
Sorry, you can't volunteer.
That's
because we've
right.
got a procedure.
That's
All right,
right.
well, you know, you can come in the
Nobody
middle of the
can
night.
volunteer.
That's
Nobody
right.
will
I
know.
can come in the middle of the
You
night
can do
and
a
do
little
it.
gorilla,
Okay.
gorilla
Exactly.
technique.
So long as nobody
Nobody
touches
pays
you.
any
Okay,
attention to
that-
what goes on
We
here
have a
anyway.
second motion.
Does
That
anybody
needs a
want
second.
Part of the board to be part of.
For 675.
Oh,
They're
okay, I
doing
see
it.
what you mean.
Yeah, but that's.
Okay, you making another motion
I did,
for 675?
yes.
Did,
Okay,
With instructions for no weeding.
never.
right, with instructions, no weed.
It's
You can,
fertile-
you just can't pull them and use weed killer.
No weeding at all.
No, okay, is
You're
is
gonna mow
fertilizer
the
cool?
lawn, because most of it's gonna be weeds. They're gonna mow still, right? And
They're
that will
gonna- they're
take
gonna
care
mow,
of
they're gonna
anything.
trim,
Do
edge,
they mow
blow.
the lawn?
Yeah.
Do we have a
Okay,
second
then the
on
weeds
that?
will go.
So
Did you
do
get
you,
a
does
second?
that include fertilizer?
I haven't
Is
heard a
fertilizer
second yet.
okay? Is it
Wait,
just
we're
Roundup?
discussing, can we have a second on this? This is for a 675 with, oh, we haven't come up with the motion.
I
With
gave the
no
motion.
weeding. You said no
He
weeding.
made a motion.
Yeah, he made a
And nobody
motion
seconded, so we can't discuss.
for 675 with no weeding. Is,
No weed killer. No chemical.
well, then
weed
you need to
killer.
make the motion.
Okay, I make a motion that we do the 675 as originally with instructions to Pentalon, I believe, that they are not to use chemicals on the weeds, that they just go ahead and mow the lawn as usual.
May I just clarify whether fertilizer is okay?
Well, were they fertilizing it before?
Yeah,
It's part of the bid,
contract,
yeah.
They can use lawn fertilizer.
Okay, was there a second?
So this is to actually approve for the 625,
675.
675, that they will just mow it, they won't use,
Any chemical weed killer,
To kill any weeds at all,
right?
I mean,
if
No,
they exist.
Steve, why do you have to make it chemical weed killer, period? You don't have to make it into anything else.
Chemical
That's
weed.
it, chemical weed
They
killer.
won't do any weeding at all.
I
Right, they're
didn't
just-
say that.
Did
I
we have
didn't
a
say
second? I
that.
can't, you know, we're still talking about stuff and I don't know we have a second.
yeah, we-
If
Were
they
you gonna second
mow, if the lawn has weeds and they
Okay.
mow, they're not gonna go around the weeds. They're
Okay.
gonna mow the weeds.
Unless you get a second, it's not.
This is
gonna happen at all
ridiculously
anyway.
sophomoric and puerile. Okay, do you want me to make the motion again?
No, you did. I'm looking for a second.
All right.
so
Who's-
you make, I just want to make this clear. So the motion is to pay the 675,
Right,
but they will not manually, they will not pull the weeds manually or use any of the Roundup that is unacceptable.
Any
And they'll
weed
just
killer.
mow, right, and they'll just
Chemicals.
mow it. They'll just
Right.
mow it over.
exactly.
There's more than just weed killer.
Well, it
There's
doesn't
also,
have to be,
like,
okay?
certain
Just don't
pesticides,
worry
things
about
like
it,
that.
okay?
So
Let's just do it this way.
There's more than
You
just
can look
Roundup,
at their contract.
you know, it's more complicated than just.
Yeah,
Roundup.
everything's more complicated, Calvin, but it doesn't need to be. doesn't need to be complicated.
So
That's a
You're-
problem I have here,
I
that
know.
everything is
it might be better
complicated.
to do one where we go.
You know what,
through the
I've been
list of
around for
chemicals
78
and
years, and you know
okay
what?
which ones.
I've managed to simplify a lot of
Okay.
things, and I've been pretty successful in my life,
Well, so
actually.
far, we don't have a second. And
You're
so
not
we're
seconding it?
going to move on to review and approve
Wait a
attendance.
minute.
Well,
Are you seconding my
we're not-
motion?
You want it, so the motion, you want me to second the motion that it's 675 and they don't use, I think,
Chemical weed killers. or
Right, but
they
I
don't
guess-
have to pull it.
There's pesticides too, right? There's not just killing weeds, there's pesticides, there's fertilizers. I mean, really, we should go back to the original contract, go line by line through the different killers and think about which ones you're not okay with,
God.
right?
That's
'Cause
true.
We're not giving them clear instructions here.
That's true. We're
That's
being
how we
very
got into
unclear.
this with
We
you.
could table it for next month.
Set a table. Okay, well then, yeah, we're definitely not, nobody
we're-
made
How
a
much are we
second.
paying them right now?
There was no
675, so it doesn't
second.
make
What?
675.
Okay,
Yeah.
then let's table it and push it down the road.
Okay. Now review and approve attendance to Leadership Academy.
All right. Okay. So
Somebody wanna make a
first
motion?
and foremost, this
Vacation time.
is great training for board members. I would highly suggest not just this training, but also the one that's happening in this hall in April. I can sign you all up for it. Just let me know who's coming and I can make it happen.
The one on the 4th.
The one on the 4th.
What
And then
time
for this
frame is
one,
that?
it's in the morning, I believe.
Okay.
It's only a few hours.
The
and this
fourth
is the
of
one
which
that's here, but even though we're hosting, we still have to pay to attend.
I will have to check in. I think so though.
But we get
Okay,
a
so
break.
what is, but we, since we are the
Is it April 4th?
CSDA.
Yeah.
members.
Thank you, CSDA
Four.
member would be discounted.
I believe it would be discounted.
But would
yeah.
they pay us for actually renting the hall? Because
No. But I wanted it here so it's convenient for all of you to attend. So I
Yeah.
figured it was a trade.
Versus going to Napa or
Yeah.
Monterey
Okay.
I mean,
or
the
something
amount
like
of
that.
rental income we're talking about is
it's like
like,
$80 or something.
yeah, it's not,
yeah,
it's not worth fighting.
Right.
So I move to approve attendance at the April 4th training here for all 5 board members. Hopefully we'll have a 5th one by then, but
Well, the
Now, what
4th,
about
we don't know.
what about the other one? Because if the board approves the Napa one, then even if you don't know if you can or want to, then at least when you do decide, then I can make the accommodations very quickly and easy.
As a member of the public, I think the NAPA training is absolutely invaluable. I mean, I think it's awesome. As a community member, I think it's really good to invest the time and training in all of you, all 5 of you, the staff members, whoever's going, because it's going to help all of you in everything you're doing. I've actually been to some of those trainings when I was working in tech. And I think I think that based on our community, the input, you guys are worth it. It's invaluable training, so I would recommend that you guys do it. I have no problem as a, I don't know, 40-year community member in this neighborhood spending the money on you guys because it's invaluable as the years go on. The city council members are sent to lots and lots of training classes. I know a planning commissioner who went into training recently, and I think that this is absolutely very, very valuable. So I have no problem with you guys spending the money. Plus it will help the Napa money recovering from the fire.
Thank you.
On the table is for the April one.
oh, we're going to do them separately,
Oh, okay.
So,
because they're separate kinds of training.
I'll make the motion to approve the one in April for.
I already made the motion.
I second that.
Oh, you second?
Thank you.
So, I mean, you can't get any cheaper than staying at home and going to the training.
So a couple hours, I was told there's going to be 4 other attendees there. So it's not going to be huge,
Right.
but it's enough to get kind of a feel for things, maybe get some of your questions answered.
And it is someone from the California Special Districts.
Yeah, they teach it.
Yes,
Somebody
Yes. it may even flow.
is going
Okay.
to go with
Okay, for April 4th
training here.
Oh, yeah.
training
How
here.
much was that? I just want to get it's not that much,
No,
right?
it's a 3-hour thing. It's very inexpensive. It's like a crash course,
So it would be less than $100.
I believe.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if not, pay for the kind of training they have. They have their own legal people here.
We
and
could
everything,
learn to
so-
make motions.
Yeah.
That's true.
Sorry, my legs butter.
It's okay.
Okay, so
So-
once again, all in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Sandy's,
No,
okay. She won't be-
Now I'll make a motion for the Napa training. After he writes down.
Yeah.
This one.
Okay.
I vote no for the Napa one.
Yeah.
I feel like it's just too expensive.
You don't have to vote because unless you make a second, it
And we
doesn't
don't have a
matter.
second
okay.
yet, so we can't discuss it yet. I'd love to
Okay.
discuss it though.
So, okay,
And we don't have to approve it. Just
I
love
will
it.
second that.
Okay, I have to second what Jennifer Griffin said about, training. It's invaluable. Going there with Jordan, and Kevin and Hilly, we learned a lot that we didn't know, and we served for a while, except for Jordan, he was fairly new. But it was worth the cost in terms of saving the district a lot of time. We really hoped that we could have talked Sandy and Pat into going, but at the time we couldn't. So
If I can give a quick plug as well, if you look at the budgets of any other special district, you'll find a piece in there that's specifically for conferences of this nature. The Foothill De Anza board sends their people all the time. Even small districts send people to get this kind of training. It may feel like a lot of money, but I think that good governance is priceless, and it serves the community. And what we have right now, this contentious environment, is not serving the community. And this is one step forward. Getting this training is one step forward to having, a fully functioning board that serves the community. I really strongly suggest going, learning everything you need to know, asking any questions you need, getting help from other board members. This is the place to do it. And it's not that far. Napa's not that far from us. So it is expensive, but governance is expensive.
and like last time, we could always carpool.
We can carpool, yeah.
Yeah.
High tech, I worked at Palau I was a Unix system administrator. They routinely sent people to breakouts. They spent a lot of money on working. I mean, when you're in IT, you have to work together as a group, because we went through Y2K in 2001 and had to handle Palo Alto, Mountain View, and Sunnyvale going through the Y2K with 3 different PG&E groups. We had to work together as a group. So that's why, as a community member and at observing what has been going on, the last meeting, et cetera, I would strongly recommend that the money be spent. You guys are wonderful, valuable, you spend a lot of time, and I say as a community member, spend the money. The training, you guys will stay longer on the board. You're gonna be also, whatever else you're doing in your life, or personal, professional, job growth, you can also put that training on your resumes. So that's what I'm saying, spend the money, and you're gonna help the Napa economy come back, because they went through hellacious fires and their hotels burned down. So please spend the money. Thank you.
The other thing I noticed too, when I looked at the description, the subjects of the sessions we will be going to are different than the ones we attended last time.
Yes.
They've changed substantially so that they're basically all new training.
Right.
Because there's so much they can train you on. There's only so much they can train you on in 3 days.
Yeah.
In order to qualify as a special district for transparency and other certificates, it's through CSDA.
Right.
Training is essential, but I gotta agree with her. My bosses always had to drag me off to training because I always said I got too much work to do. But every time I went off to training, whatever the subject, it turned out to make me more productive.
I would also add that if you look at the breakout sessions, most of these are relevant. For example, this one here says, get the word out, best practices for communication and outreach,
Yeah.
defining board, staff roles and relationships. Again, this is something that seems to be coming up quite often. What do board members need to know about district finances? These are all things that we're going through right now. And I think are completely relevant to the current struggles that we're going through. I strongly recommend, I cannot recommend it enough. I'm not going to this, by the way, so I have no stake in this other than a functioning board and staff relationship that helps move things forward. There's a lot of good ideas. Let's do it.
So, question about like the whole training thing too. I guess the CPA, he could still do training for us in terms of the accounting until May,
Yeah,
correct?
of course,
Okay.
yeah. This would be more of a crash course from the perspective of the districts that do this kind of thing. His would be more from an auditor's sort of perspective.
Mhm.
So slightly different, but kind of the same. This one would help you to be able to look at, okay, what controls do we need here? What things should you pay attention to as a board meeting, that kind of thing. Oh, we also get a certificate, I think, if a certain number of board members go.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna call the question on that. All in favor of approving attendance to the Leadership Academy? Raise your hand, say aye. Okay. Did you have all those in saying no, or?
I don't know.
No, I'm a
Okay.
no. I think just the resources, if we, I know you said this is a crash course, but I think maybe we could spend the money on something that, if more than a crash course, I think we need a little bit more than, something that's going on here for 3 hours. Have something more personalized, more tailored to us rather than being part of this whole big thing. In my opinion, that's how I feel.
There's another side to
Right,
these
right, I know.
seminars.
So,
I
That
know.
there are big schmooze parties, and the people that give the seminars are the big winners. And, I'm not a schmoozer, so I don't want to go. I pretty
Okay,
much can
well,
handle
please
myself.
bone up on making motions
said
and
no.
parliamentary procedure.
I
Fine.
said no.
Well, at least you could bone up on parliamentary procedure, thank you.
We already been through it. We already voted. I just
That's
said
not
what I think,
just
that's
said.
all. I
You were
got a right to
listening
do
again.
that.
Okay, number 7, review and approve district memberships. We're just speaking about the recreational membership. We approved the others, is that correct?
Yes,
There's
Right,
only
so we
one
approved the CSDA,
and the chamber.
in the Chamber of
Yeah.
Commerce, yeah, correct.
So now we're looking at the California Association of Recreation and Park Districts. So
Can we
if
make
the
a
last
motion?
meeting you'd asked for, any recommendations as far as like a California specific
Right.
rule thing. There are some out there, they sound promising, but when you look into them, they're not really related to the services side of things. They're more of like the maintenance, installation, sort of the manufacturing of pools and or insurance.
That was a WAHC or something like that.
Oh, no, that's a
What-
national one.
Oh, okay,
You had asked
okay.
for a California.
Right,
specific.
right.
So we are part of a different organization called the POA, which is the Bay Area Public Pool Operators Association. So that's where we get most of our local pool stuff. And we're also part of an informal pool operator group, which we usually meet about once or twice a year. So those are the pool organizations. If you wanted a pool one, you'd probably want to go national. So there you have it. But going back to the California Association of
Right.
Recreation and Park Districts, this one is in our policy manual that we're supposed to be a part of. We've never been a part of them. They do fill a similar niche to the CSDA, but they're more parks focused. So it's something to consider or change the policy.
So it is in the policy, but we were just never part of this before.
Right.
So it's in the actual board policy. Why
Correct.
would you just like not approved by the board or like?
No, I think
It
we
just-
just never really read the policy as deeply as we should have. And the bylaws are a little bit out of time to look at. So I think nobody noticed it has been happening.
Yeah, I think that's basically it. I don't remember noticing it.
We're not going by the bylaws anyway, so.
But in terms of value,
You
we can
are.
try it for a year or whatnot and see if it's worth it. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know.
So what's the?
They're gonna
what's the
teach us how not to
pre-insurance
violate
program?
the bylaws?
So the CSDA also has an insurance program. It's basically an insurance pool with other park districts.
Oh, I think we do that, right? Where, do we do that or no?
We actually use State Fund, which is a fairly expensive provider because nobody really wants to insure pools.
right,
Yeah.
because it's high risk,
Yeah.
yeah.
So So they do have a Capri insurance program, which may or may not be cheaper, because generally speaking, public agencies have a little bit more oversight in making sure that people don't die in the pools. So
That wouldn't be a good Yelp review.
Fair enough. But this would be more appropriate for us because it's other parks which may or may not have pools, but it's going to be a similar industry. Whereas when you go to the CSDA, now you've got mosquito districts, you've got
Right,
airport
you got
districts,
water
lighting
districts, you got-
sewage.
Right,
So
right.
it-
Cemetery district, whatever.
It may or may
Correct.
not, and Capri may or may not fit us. I don't know, but we won't know unless we look into it.
Do we have a motion?
So this would be, make a motion to discuss it or to approve
Well, we've
it?
been discussing it. Maybe we
Right.
could have a motion to review and approve or to approve. It doesn't mean that you're approving. It just allows us to put a motion on the table so that we can discuss it and then call a question.
Okay, so I make a motion to discuss this.
Second?
Wait,
We haven't-
you
You have to make a
so you
motion.
can't make a motion to discuss something. It would have to be to approve something. It has to be
Mm-hmm.
very specific.
It has to be in the form of, and I'll make the motion, you can second it whether you want to or not. You decide, I make a motion to approve membership in California Association of Recreation and Park Districts for a year to see if it is worth the cost of joining.
Okay, so then we would get a second, then we would discuss it, and then we would call the question.
And vote on it.
Okay, so do you want to second his motion or do you want to make your
Because
own?
you can't make a motion just to discuss something. You have to make a motion and then you discuss the motion. That's the way parliamentary procedure goes.
Yeah, it might be good to review
That's why I made the motion. I did.
Robert's rules. So,
Yeah, if there's we should do kind of maybe a checklist or something like that, just
Well,
kind of an easy reference guide or something
I
like
told you,
that.
yeah, we needed to
I
have
think it was in the
sheets.
board orientation, but I think that there is also something in the CSDA thing that goes over it potentially. The
Well,
intricacies of running a public meeting, deep dive into the Brown Act. Nope, not that one. Well, anyway,
okay, we could, maybe, well, what about, I had the Rosenberg, so that's
oh
sort
yeah,
of
the
like
Rosenberg
kind of
thing
what we've
really
been
simple. Yeah, that was good.
doing, but
You watch that pen, because he got me here a couple meetings ago.
I doubt it, honey.
Yeah.
Okay,
Can you not do the pen?
relax.
Thank you.
So,
I didn't do anything.
I know, it's just that many figures. So, okay, so, yeah, you could just get a printout, go Google Robert Rules, whatever. Rosenberg is a more informal
Yeah.
that I was trying to bring forward, but we kind of got lost here.
We can go through the orientation again.
Okay, but
That one has a very simplified version. But if not.
it was, we need to have like a sheet sitting. there.
Yeah, I think that would
Good
probably,
sheet.
yeah, I just think that'd be
I
better.
think in
Just
everybody's-
everyone could have one.
Well,
in
or
the-
you
in
could
the-
have
in
it,
thing,
in the
yeah.
binder, so if you need a
Well,
reference.
The Robert's Rules is pretty complicated. Rosenberg, which I think we should look into, is much simpler and would
Easier to
probably
follow.
be better.
I mean, it was basically
Yeah.
making
The cheat
motions.
sheet you brought in, was it December? That was really simple. I was
Yeah.
like, this is great.
Okay.
So it's
Um,
similar, but
So did you want to second that one, or you wanting to make your own motion on this? Where do you want to go with this? Because there's a motion on the floor, so either you don't second it and you make your own, or,
I guess I'd like to make a motion to just,
We're on number 7, right?
yes, we are.
have
Very
more
good.
time to just look into it. We can just put it on the next agenda. But I mean, I don't think I'd want to commit to 2 years. I think I'd probably want to commit to 1 year.
I think the motion was for 1
My
year.
motion was for 1 year, not 2.
Unless there's, do they have a minimum membership timeframe or something?
no.
Okay, so there's an
Oh.
annual thing.
Yeah.
Right, but I mean, I still want to go through this stuff before, it's $2,000, so I figured I still need to do more research on it.
Do you think next meeting you might
Yeah, let's
have it?
do next meeting. I
Okay, 'cause
kinda had a lot going
This has
on.
been on the
Yeah.
agenda for like
3
3
months.
meetings?
Yeah.
Yeah, but at least
So
it's
are you
35 pages
thinking
long.
you'll have it then?
Yeah, let's,
I remember voting no on these memberships, so.
Yeah, we had
I'm
a
out of it.
couple of,
Yeah,
well,
I remember
So
voted
the-
no.
the only-
Right,
The only
so
real
we know
downside
voted
with kicking
yes.
the can is that other business, like, for example, the space base, that is what it's called, things like that are not getting looked at because we're just trying to get through ho-hum stuff.
we do the same thing, we go through
So-
the,
Okay, I
The
see
more-
what you mean.
approving
Right.
the minute,
So-
go
More things
through,
don't get put on the agenda.
yeah, this
Right,
thing's
I
getting
gotcha.
longer
There's
and
a lot
longer
of stuff.
because
It's
we're
okay to
not
bump
I know.
this, but let's not
taking
bump
our-
it.
I know what you mean, yeah, I gotcha.
okay, so now, we've included number 7, we're moving to number 8. I'm suggesting a meeting change. I'm traveling to Australia to visit family, and so I'll be gone for the next 2 meetings. So if we can change it to like a third Tuesday, then
I could bring a calendar up on.
Yeah, calendar would be a good reference point.
Let's get out of here.
So when is our next scheduled meeting is April 11th, and you're okay
11th.
with that?
I
correct?
won't be here. I'm leaving on the 9th. That's what I said. I won't be here for the next 2 scheduled meetings.
We could try for the 4th if you want it.
Hmm.
The 2nd's not very good. Our registration day is the 4th of May.
Yeah, but I'm not back until like the 16th.
Oh,
so
okay,
it's
yeah,
like-
this would be safe.
Well, as long as there's 3 people here, there's a quorum, right?
Sure.
Yes?
So why do we need to change it? It's
Well,
So
confusing
the
to
third
everybody.
Thursday would be the 18th
May?
of May, I'm sorry.
Yeah, 16th.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm not back till the 16th, so that's,
Hmm.
how is it we're meetings on the 16th and not the 9th?
Oh, no, if you wanted to move it.
Oh,
it would
right,
be on the
sorry,
9th, yeah.
right. Yeah, I'm sorry, yeah, that would,
Works for me.
so the 6th, I don't,
I
I'd be
think
coming
having
off of
5 board
24-hour
members is
flight
usually
if I
ideal,
tried that.
given the current, push-pull sort of thing.
So we would move it from which day to which day? I'm
9th
sorry.
to 16th. just
well, no,
one
you'd have,
delay.
I'd be walking off a plane on the 16th. so
Well, how about
not-
the 23rd then?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, it would have to
Oh,
be the 20th.
23rd, okay, 23rd. So
I
the
mean,
thing is if
that's
someone
pushing it
wanted to come
back.
to the meeting, they wouldn't miss it, they would come and see that it's actually 2 weeks from then. So that's about it.
23rd at work.
I don't know, do we make a motion for that?
Well, if we have to, I'll make a motion to move it to the 23rd
Okay, I'll second that.
so that we can have.
Is there any more discussion? No, okay, I'll call the question. Aye. No one else? Okay,
No,
or we have, okay, all those opposed?
I'll just leave it on that date.
Okay,
So what was the,
nothing happened.
nothing happened, okay, so it's still in line.
Okay. We have a motion to adjourn?
I'll second it.
Well, maybe you
Well,
want to
nobody
make
made one.
it.
What?
You like to make the motion.
I thought you said you were making the motion.
I
I'm
said I
sorry,
was
I misheard you.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll make the motion to adjourn at 20,
It's 9:15.
It's up there.
14
9:15.
minutes after
9:15.
15 and 5 seconds.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
I need to eat
Can
dinner.
we say aye?
Aye.
I think we all need to eat dinner.
Yeah.
So is Sunny here to get the key right now, or is she not here?
She should still be here. yeah.
Okay.
On the, is it also the 9th? Or it's, yes, the 11th, on the 11th. It's on the minute, the agenda?
We're having our regular meeting.
It's the
on
same, it'll be on the
Schedule.
9th?
I just.
So nothing-
The last two was already put out.
Did you
That's not
sign
bad news, and I
checks,
wanna get you everything.
Stephen?